Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. This is an off day to do a live stream. Usually I do these on Tuesday because Rachel releases her podcast and Rach Talk and it fires me up and immediately I have to go and talk about it. But I was actually, for once in my life, had a work obligation on a Tuesday, which is rare. So I couldn't do it. So I just didn't do it. And I was like, well, maybe I won't talk about it. Maybe I'll give her a break. And then everyone was like, don't give her a break. Please talk about her marathon. And I couldn't resist. So here we are. Welcome, welcome. And before we kick off this exciting day, talking about Rachel Hollis running a marathon, I wanted to show you and say thank you because Choose Sadness merch is now available. It hasn't been integrated yet. So the whole point, so let me start from the beginning. So Choose Sadness means, it's like Choose Sadness means, and then I don't have an answer. Choose Sadness means that you don't have to be positive all the time, right? You don't have to be positive all the time. I'm sick of that narrative being pushed everywhere. And I'm sure you are too. So I have come up with this brand, this logo. I didn't make it. Someone made it for me on Fiverr, and they did a really good job. Called Choose Sadness. And it's a response to Positive Vibes Only merch and items available at stores, for example, like Old Navy. If you go to Old Navy, if you walked into Old Navy in the last 5 years, you'll probably see a lot of toxic positivity messaging. And so I said, okay, let's make at least some sort of product that is antithesis of that. And that's where Choose Sadness came from. And it was supposed to be, at 10,000, your YouTube opened up to allow merch to be purchased on YouTube, like through YouTube. But it hasn't kicked in yet. I guess people, maybe their YouTube's worried that like the 10,015 subs that I have, the 15 are going to drop off, which may happen. I think this week people were more upset with my content than usual. But let's hope. Let's hope it can be integrated officially. For now, the link still works. The link is in the description of this video. And here's some options. So let me go back for a second and I can show you sort of. This is the Choose Sadness flowy tank top that you can wear for the gym. And that's what I'm wearing right now. I would wear my sweatshirt, but it's in the wash. So. C'est la vie. But that's this one. I like it. It's a great workout shirt or a yoga shirt. The mask I have not tried yet, but if you are, I'm totally pro mask. So if you want to keep wearing the mask and showing people to choose sadness, that's the perfect item for you. This is the sweatshirt that I have. I have it in black. I love it. It's getting washed right now because I wear it so much. The mug, okay, so that's a black mug. I don't have the black mug, but I do have the white mug. And if you can see, if you go close, the camera's not gonna work. The earth is crying, but it's also got a peace sign. And that's how I feel most of the time. And then also, this is probably gonna be, oh wait, hold on, stand by. I said, but also. But also. I now have sound effects. Okay. Stickers. Choose Sadness stickers. This is going to be the most popular thing, I think, because it is so cute. And it can go on your water bottle or your laptop or your forehead. There's no rules with the Choose Sadness merch. So thank you again, everybody. This is so cool. I can't even begin to explain how how my ego has been so inflated this week because of the 10,000 mark. And I'm very, very, very excited and happy that this merch can go out now and that people can join the group and have it and start to push against the message of toxic positivity. So thank you guys. Buy it if you like. If you can't, no worries. I'm not going to hold you accountable. But also, if you don't buy every single piece of merch, thank you, Noha. Thank you. If you don't buy every single piece of merch,
unfollow me.
Okay? Do you hear that?
Unfollow me.
Yes, I learned how to do sound effects, as you can tell. Let's see what else I got.
Get a life.
That's a good one.
But also,
unfollow me.
Tell me which one's your favorite. Okay, so as we get settled here, let me see some. I see your comments coming in. Thank you, thank you. Oh my God, someone bought something. Thank you, Alicia. Alicia, amazing, has bought a sticker. Everyone follow Alicia's. What am I trying to say? Alicia's lead. There you go. And also, I posted this on Instagram last night. I had a migraine yesterday and it took me out like the whole day. So I'm recovering. I feel much better today, but it might be a slow start. But also, I know, same. Yes, no one break your contract with me. The fact that you're here socially, according to federal law, you must buy all of the merch. Or
Unfollow me.
anyways, okay. What we're really here for today is to talk about Rachel Hollis, of course. And Taro's here too, my cat. She's here for the snark. I thought we'd mix it up a little bit today. Oh, little low volume. Okay, I'm gonna raise it up. It's gotta be the same, okay?
Unfollow me.
You know, thank you for the suggestion to raise the volume, but also...
Unfollow me.
I'm just kidding. Is that better? Okay, and then also, but also. So we're here for Rachel Hollis Snark. I thought usually we listen to the podcast first and then listen to Rach Talk, but I thought today we'd mix it up since it's Friday, since it's basically the weekend. We're celebrating here. We're having our LaCroix, cola together, or you're having lunch. You know, we're going to mix it up today because it's not the normal Tuesday. Okay, a store link should be in the description of this video. And if it's not, it should be, but if it's not, on Instagram, if you search Kia's World YT, which is my Instagram handle, it is in the bio link. Okay? And if you can't find it, then...
Unfollow me.
And...
Get a life.
Okay. So this is episode 4 of Rach Talk. And if you saw, I'll show you the thumbnail. Hold on. Before we get into this, I must share my own personal stories for a moment. Hold on. Okay, so if you saw the thumbnail of this video, you've already seen this, but I thought for a second I would show you my experience with running. Here you go. Okay, ready? I did a 5K. I've done a few 5Ks. I've done probably 4 official 5Ks in my life. And these are the wonderful photos that were captured of me at the finish line. I'm looking really great. And this was after me doing training. My own training in my own, neighborhood. But it's not quite as great as Rachel Hollis's, defying human nature in her marathon completion. So I just thought that I would share my experience. And this looks, I made a joke when these photos were first purchased. I didn't purchase them. When they were first posted, that I look like I'm running away from the cops. And this was like they're trying to find me. And this is what they showed. This is how they've captured me as I was running away from the crime scene because it looks like I'm in danger. So there you go. That's my running experience. I've never run a marathon. I've never run a half marathon. The longest I've ever run in a official setting is 5K. The most I've ever run in a non-professional setting is like 4 miles. So not much more. So I will give Rachel a lot of credit for how difficult running a 5K is, or 5K, a marathon is. Running a 5K is hard too. Thank you, everybody. You guys are too nice. You look fantastic. I look like I'm insane. But thank you. Okay, so basically, I've watched this. I've listened to the podcast, so it won't be any, I know, seriously, they really did. They did me dirty. It's all right. Rachel has used this story about her running a marathon at least 3 times. She did Rach Talk about it. I mean, she did Rach Talk about a few other topics, but she talks about it and discusses it in the Rach Talk. She did a full episode. Isn't it Jordy? Thank you for subscribing. Isn't it Jordy? She did a Rach Talk about it. She did the whole podcast for like an hour of a podcast talking about the experience, and she did an Instagram reel. So she really milked this for all it was worth. Thank you. I love these comments because they're so true. So anyways, let's start with Rach Talk. I might skip a little bit because she keeps putting copyrighted music in, and maybe that's on purpose so that we don't do these these live streams, but I might skip past that because I don't want to get demonetized for the whole video. So let's begin, and we'll stop and start, and here we go.
I'm sharing another Dreamcatcher story, which is so rad. Jeffrey's here, obviously. He won't leave us alone the entire episode. I'm talking about one of my favorite books that you should totally grab right now. And there was something else that I talked about. I just told it to you, Jack. What was it? You're supposed to help me remember. Oh my gosh! Lin-Manuel Miranda, new song. It's maybe not new. It could be years old, but it's new to me. It's new to you. And yes, I'm going to sing it to you.
Once again, Jack just gets the short end of the stick. He always gets criticized in these videos. You never see him. And I've seen his Instagram because I'm insane and, found it. But he's like a pretty private dude. But he just gets reamed by her. I know it's supposed to be funny and snarky and like kind of like sarcastic, but if I was him, I would be very embarrassed. She's like, you should remember this. You should remember this. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay. Anyways, let's continue.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Rach Talk. I'm dressed like your favorite fighter pilot, wearing basically pajamas. Jeff's here, as always,
I wonder if her hat is thrifted or not, because she said she was only going to wear thrifted clothes from now on. This hat looks pretty fresh and new. The outfit, I don't know. She says it was pajamas, so.
You're joining us
So she says she will not wear pajamas that are thrifted, so I guess this is not thrifted.
at home. I don't want to, see, he had mouth surgery, and so I don't want to, this is the thing with playing ball. Is he going to injure his sutures or whatever, Jack? You're a vet. What do you think? Also, am I the only hippie? I can't be the only person who has a collection of crystals. I have crystal beads, and
Once again, she's pushing that she's a hippie. Am I the only hippie that has crystals? Yes, Rachel. You're the only hippie that has crystals, for sure. Now she's going to talk about her crystals.
and I'll just be like, I need some rose quartz today. Do you do that, Jack? Do you do that, Nicole? Do you do that, Jeff? I know. Okay.
No. No one but Rachel Hollis does that. As a crystal, I like crystals enough. I think they're beautiful. I don't think that they provide any energy healing powers. That's my personal take on the matter. A lot of people disagree with that. I just don't think that holding any sort of crystal in your hand is going to, improve your mood or whatever. Unless holding like a quarter could do the same thing. Like, ooh, this quarter, oh, nice, I like it. Or, oh, holding this ring or whatever. Yeah, that feels good. But energetically changing anything, I don't believe in that personally.
None of these people do, but I am positive. Comment in the section if you have more than one crystal beaded something and you put it on so thank you for asking, Jack. Rose quartz is for grief, it's for healing, it's for trust, it's for love. And I just felt like I needed that today. So it's on and it's giving me something. This is garnet, which is my birthstone. And I guess you can't even see these. Can you even see these? We don't need a close up, right? They'll use your imagination, maybe.
First woman ever to wear a bracelet, Rachel Hollis. She's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the first hippie to ever wear a crystallized bracelet on YouTube.
Maybe you draw it in After Effects for them. This is a skull, which I love. Nobody asked about my bracelets, but this is what we're talking about. So this is skull, and I put it on to remind me to be a badass. And then this is
What?
labradorite.
Aw.
This is a really powerful stone to help
That's the best part of this whole video is that 2-second clip of the puppies.
you transition through things. And I have been wearing this guy for 2.5 years because I feel like it's been a real long evolution for me. And this is an evil eye that I got. I love an evil eye. Clearly I wear one here too. But my friend RC, who you may recall from past things that we've done together, I was having coffee with RC and she brought me an evil eye. And lastly, this is a bracelet that I got from my boo thing at Christmas time.
All right, we're less than 3 minutes in and boothing has been mentioned.
But also,
Boothing. I always like it when it's under 3 minutes. I feel like 3 minutes is still the introduction. So boothing was mentioned within 3 minutes, everybody. That's the important part. And did you know that she has a boyfriend? I don't know if you guys know, but she has a boyfriend and he is from England and he's currently in Europe. I wanted to tell you because I know like that's not very it's not very commonly known, and Rachel like really keeps on the DL that she's got a boyfriend, so you know, I just wanted to let everybody know.
I guess I'm going to say ancient times, but that doesn't feel right. Let's say like Elizabethan. Again, I'm making it up. Spies used to use gems as a way to send code. So like whatever letter, I'm probably saying this so wrong, but whatever letter the stone starts with, that was like spelling something. And so this.
Hold on, we got to go back because I didn't understand this the first time. I am not understanding it now, and I don't want it to be my fault that we're not understanding the logic of this. So let's go back just a little bit.
Time, I guess
Okay, wait. Her boo thing bought her this specific bracelet
that we've done together. I was having coffee with RC and she brought me an evil eye. And lastly, this is a bracelet that I got from my boo thing at Christmas time. I guess I'm going to say ancient times, but that doesn't feel right. Let's say like Elizabeth.
Okay, wait, I'm stopping again. I'm so sorry. Savvy says RC is her employee named Rachel, who she made change her name because she wanted to be the only Rachel. I 100% believe that to be true. And now Rachel is going to be Rach. So I guess if RC was going to be Rach at one point, that's no longer possible either. Thank you, Savvy. See, I feel like you have the older Rachel stuff down. I need to consult you for the older Rachel content.
Elizabethan? Again, I'm making it up. Spies used to use gems as a way to send code. So like whatever letter, I'm probably saying this so wrong, but whatever letter the stone starts with, that was like spelling something. And so this is, he said, me and him on a bracelet. So it's citrine and ruby. So it's C and R. Because he's cute. Jack, he's cute. You know he's cute. You'd date him, right? Yeah. Jack actually.
Okay. So to me, that sounds like a fake story. Like he had an extra bracelet that someone gave to him or that he had for an ex-girlfriend or something. And he's like, oh, this is for us. It's an old spy technique that was used back in the ancient times. It means you and me, baby. And gave it to her. And she's like, oh my God. I love him. My boo thing.
He stayed with us in Hawaii, me, Boo, and Jack, just hanging out for several days because we did a coaching session from the island. I was like, hey, Jack, I really want to go to Hawaii. Will you do coaching there? And he was like, I guess. We watched a documentary about the kids in the cave, which I'm never going to get over.
She's doing coaching again? Did I know that? She was doing a coaching session in Hawaii and Jack had to be there for what? I mean, I'm down. If anyone wants to hire me to coach or to videotape them coaching in Hawaii, please let me know. It's a pretty good job. But I didn't know she was doing coaching again. Interesting. Savvy, let me know. What is going on?
Story is insane. It's these kids, you might remember this, years ago, these kids on a soccer team were in an underground cave system and it started torrentially raining and then that cave system flooded. And they were down there for like 2 weeks or something, and the only way they got them out was these like cave diver, scuba diver guys. and the cave diver guys had to like scuba dive for like 3 hours through this cave system, and then they realized that the only way they could get the kids out of the cave was to anesthesia, like to knock them out, put them in a scuba suit, and then like tote. If you have any claustrophobia issues, there's one point we're freaking out. Another classic Netflix referral is something called The Alp.
Wait, that was it? That was her review of that movie? She had like zero details, was like, yeah, it was like they were in there for like 2 weeks or something, and like, yeah, we watched this, and like, yeah. So was it good? Was it a good movie or not? I have no idea. Review unsure. I'm not knowing if I should watch that movie or not, based on that description.
Alpinist. So it's a climber who would climb on ice, on stone, on like whatever.
She's really pushing this like climbing documentaries. The last 3 or so Rach Talk, she's promoted or talked about some sort of climbing documentary that she's seen on Netflix. And just so happens, no relation at all, I'm sure, that her boo thing is a climber. Is she trying to like prove to him through these Rach Talks that she likes his things too? That they share interests? I don't know. This is boring. Okay, let's just like get through this part.
Climb whatever. I don't know why you would need this in your life, but if you want to stress out, if you're like, you know what, I haven't experienced a fight or flight in a moment, or if you're like, my cortisol levels are just too low, I need to amp them up. The documentary, The Alpinist, the level of stress that you're going to have watching this kid climb mountains with nothing. His fingertips, maybe an ice pick or whatever. He definitely doesn't use an ice pick. He's not making a cocktail. I'm not going to spoil it, but prepare yourself. Oh.
You use an ice pick to make a cocktail? You can also use an ice pick to climb up glaciers. I think that's probably what the ice pick was used for. Okay.
My Spotify played me a Lin-Manuel Miranda, as you may recall, my future best friend, LMM, a song that I didn't know existed, and I'm not okay. You're not okay. And I think we can only play like 15 seconds of it or whatever, but I just want you, this is really only going to translate to my musical theater nerds. If you're not a musical theater nerd, skip for 30 seconds.
Let's skip. I'm not a musical theater nerd. I haven't seen that many. I've never seen Hamilton, and I've never seen the big ones. I've seen like some of the smaller ones. I've seen like Lion King and Come From Away and some other ones. So I wouldn't consider myself a musical theater nerd, but I think it's important that we watch the whole thing together. Sorry, Rach. Sorry, hippie Rach. You can just
Unfollow me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Seconds or something. But if you are a musical theater nerd, your heart's about to explode.
We may not yet have...
Okay, wait. I don't think I can have this. Well, okay. Fingers crossed, everybody, that I don't get demonetized for this 30-second clip she's about to sing. Okay, hold on. Let's just skip a little bit, because all she does is listen to it.
It's the first line from a song in Hamilton, but what is confusing you right now is you're thinking, that's not LMM. That's not LMM singing his classic song. You're right. It's Ben Platt. Because what we're about to experience is a musical theater mashup. Oh my God, they'll tell the story of tonight. If you have not seen Hamilton,
I haven't.
shame on you. Okay? It's on Disney Plus. Look, if you can't afford it, it's expensive. It's as much as Jeffrey's dental surgery. If you can afford a ticket to Hamilton, if you can save your money, hold on. Serious moment. Maybe we go black and white here. Maybe we make it grainy like an old time movie, Jack. I need you guys to hear me real quick. There are 2 things in this life. 2. Jeffrey, I'm having a serious moment. I can't play ball.
Free Jeffrey! Free Jeffrey. Let him go free. Let him play ball in the yard.
I'm being serious. They need to understand. There are 2 things in this life that are worth 10 times their price. The first thing is a ticket to Hamilton. I don't challenge me on this. Yeah, it's expensive. I'm not going to say it's not expensive. You save your money if you can, whatever. You put $1 away. After 79 months, you get to go see Hamilton. I know I'm
$1 a day. Oh, how much is it? Thousands? How much is a ticket to Hamilton? My God.
dramatic, and you guys are going to think I'm being dramatic. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? No, that's the thing. Okay, it's on Disney Plus, and I want to give you that option because it's not as expensive. If you have Disney Plus, then you go on there and you watch it for free. It's like apples and oranges. It can't even be, you don't get it, you don't feel it, you don't have the magic, you don't feel the like bass thumping in the room. If you feel like your creativity is stalled out, if you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like you need to be inspired, I literally wept, not cried.
Hold on, I need to address this comment.
Unfollow me.
I'm just kidding. So basically she's saying like you watching it on Disney Plus is not good enough. You must get the base to understand the, you know, in-person Hamilton experience. I'm just kidding, Sarah. By the way, I'm just joking. Come back anytime. She's saying like you must save your money, you know, if you can, and she's putting these disclaimers in, which I appreciate, like, oh, if you can afford it, it's worth it, whatever. But then goes into this whole monologue about how, oh, like you need to go see it, and if you are, you know, if you need creativity in your life, if you are stalling out or whatever, go see Hamilton. It's like, is that really gonna help me be a better accountant by seeing Hamilton? Are you really gonna try to make that connection as to why it'll help me improve my life? Come on. That's how I feel about these Rise conferences. Like, oh, you could be a better mother by spending money on this conference. It's like, ugh, really? Like, can I really? Or are you just trying to get me to buy something?
Not gentle tears, wept. Like someone had, I was going to say run over my dog. That's too horrible. He's literally sitting right here. Like I could not control myself, convulsing. Why? Was it sad? Yes, but that's not why I was crying. I was crying because I was so proud of Lin-Manuel Miranda. I was proud of him as a fellow human. I don't know this guy. I was like, how did your brain create what I just saw? Every single part of it is amazing. Like the stage moves, the costumes, it's so good. It's so good. It is worth 10 times the price. It's traveling all over the country. This sounds like an ad. It's not an ad. Worth it, okay? If you have to. You're like, Rach, I can't do it. Fine.
Rach.
Disney Plus, or just listen to the soundtrack on Spotify. It's amazing. Okay, that's 1. 2, this is worth 20 times its price. A ticket to Beyonce. When and if.
How old is this content? Not to be mean, but Beyonce hasn't come out with an album in like years. Am I wrong? Is she doing something that I'm unaware of? Isn't Beyonce like, yeah, she's great, but is this new information? Also, Hamilton is, I saw someone said it was like 6 years old. That's right? Like these are old things. Why is this on a new Rach Talk?
Beyonce Knowles Carter decides to go on tour again. Sell your car. Give up your phone. What do you need to do to get into the room? What do you need to do to get into, she's not in a room. She's going to be in an arena. I've told you before, I only have one major regret in life, that I didn't go to Coachella when she was there. I don't regret anything. I believe everything happens like that.
Oh, her only regret in life, everybody, is that she didn't go to Coachella to see Beyonce. Not that she insulted an entire working class group of women that looked up to her. No, not that. Not leading people on that she was in a happy marriage. Meanwhile, they were on the brink of divorce for years. No. The fact that she didn't go to Coachella to see Beyonce. Okay, Rachel. Okay.
Get a life.
There's meaning, right? Like I can find meaning in anything that happens, and it's all flowing exactly as it's meant to. And I'm going to tell you right now, there is no meaning in me missing homecoming. The level of excellence, Jack.
Let's go back again. I'm sorry, everybody. This is just kind of like rude to me.
I don't regret anything. I believe everything happens like that there's meaning, right? Like I can find meaning in anything that happens, and it's all flowing exactly as it's meant to. And I'm going to tell you right now, there is no meaning in me missing homecoming. The level of excellence, Jack. The level of excellence. You can't even, I don't care if you don't even like her music. I'm judging you if you don't like her music. This was just a side. This has nothing to do with today's episode except that I need you to know if and when she goes on tour. My best friends and I have made a commitment. We made this commitment when On the Run 2, which was a long time ago. It was the last time she was on tour.
Are they still friends? She should check on that. I think a lot of her friends have moved on. She should double check.
We said next time our queen goes on tour, we are committed to 5 cities minimum. 5 cities, Jack. 5 cities. Me, Ro, Beans, Sam. 5 cities.
Me, Ro, Beans, Sam. Okay, and her, I guess that'd be 5, right? Me, Ro, Beans, and Sam. So it's Ro, Beans, Sam. 3 people. She better check. I see pictures with Sam and Beans, or maybe that's the same person. I don't know. She posts pictures once in a while of her friends, but they're not a part of Hollis Co anymore, I don't think. But yeah, 5 cities minimum. My only regret in life is not going to see Beyonce. Seems very out of touch.
Cities we're seeing her in, and every time we will be blessed. So all of that to say, I know that was a long build up to wrap around back here to my song, but this is from Hamilton.
Wait, I thought it wasn't from Hamilton.
Who's that, Jack? That's LMM. So Ben Platt, who I know as Benji from Pitch Perfect and Pitch Perfect 2, he's in a thing called Dear Evan Hansen. He started us off singing Hamilton. Here comes Lynn. Here comes Lenny. Now he's going to do the part that Ben does, and it's a... There'll be more of us. If I sing over it, does that mean you can play it on YouTube? Here we go,
Hopefully.
here we go. Oh God. To carry you when you're broken on the ground. You will be found. Okay, hold on. I don't know where this is from. So did they just like jump into a studio together and then perform this? What if this was like an award show or like...
Why don't you look it up, Rachel? This is your show. Why don't you Google it? And I see Miss Ocampo writes that it came from the March for Our Lives fundraising event. So that would be a great opportunity to bring up that topic and to say, well, it was worth, I haven't Googled it. So to be fair, we're on the same page. Rachel and I are the same level of incompetent. But I also don't have a Kia Talk show where I'm delivering information and I'm saying this is my favorite thing ever and blah, 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 blah. So I feel like I get a little pass. But yeah, it just seems a little bit not great, especially from where it actually did come from. And it's not from Hamilton, so the information's wrong. Thank you, Starry Nights. You got a little cat in the back, or up there. Okay, I'm just gonna
Unfollow me.
unfollow myself. Thank you very much. So yeah, just Google it, Rachel. That's all I'm asking. Just 5-minute Google before you talk about things you're going to talk about on your show. That's all I have to say.
like the Tonys or something, and nobody knew this was happening, and then these two surprised everybody with a mashup. That's how it is in my head, and I want you to know that every time I listen to the song, which is about 150 times in the last 2 weeks since I discovered it, I imagine that I'm at an award show, and I don't know that Ben and Lynn are performing, and then they start performing this song, and in this imagined scenario, I want you to know that I'm weeping.
We're here at the March for Our Lives.
I think Jack had to add this in afterwards because Rachel did not speak to this at all. But here is the part where they actually explain what the heck's going on.
In DEC, and we're here to support these incredible students who have created a tipping point in our country. They're leading the way, and we're going to sing a song, and we're here to have their back and support them.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This is all long overdue, and we're really happy to be part of this.
I'm looking.
Okay, so at least Jack addressed it in the editing. I don't think Rachel's still aware. And this song came out in 2018. Are you serious? This whole thing has been about Beyonce, who, you know, is relevant, but has made music years and years and years ago. It really was at the peak of her career years ago. Hamilton, an old musical, a song related somewhat to Hamilton that was from 2018. So what, and like old documentaries. So what's the update here, Rachel? The only update we're going to talk about is her running a marathon, and we're getting to that slowly but surely.
Looking for a choir director, a choir teacher, a choir director. I know.
Oh yeah, this is important. So if anyone's a choir director here, you can apparently be involved in Rachel Hollis' project. For what? We don't know.
Looking for a choir director, a choir teacher, a choir director. I know that's random. I have this idea for a project, and I need to get advice from someone who has put a choir together. It can be elementary school, middle school, high school. I'm not looking for like fancy choir. Maybe it's a gospel choir that you've worked on. My instinct today, I just keep thinking like, universe, God, where can I find someone to talk to? And then I thought, you should just ask people when you film Rach Talk later, because maybe one of your viewers is a choir director or they know one. Here's what I'm looking for. A choir director with but you're like joyful about it. You're joyful, you like working with people. They don't have to be like amazing. I'm not gonna ask you to teach me how to sing, I swear. I just wanna ask some questions. So please, y'all, don't send a note if you just like watched a movie about a choir once. But just like, if you actually are this and you wouldn't mind talking to me to answer my questions, we're gonna put an email right here. You just send an email and subject line just be like, I'm a choir director, because I have a question for you. More on that later. A few weeks ago.
What could it possibly be about? What is she going to be doing? She says she wants to start a singing career because her boyfriend, her boo thing, is a tour manager for Shawn Mendes. So now she's going to be writing songs and singing. She's already said that. She wants to do that. She's going to now start a choir? What is she going to ask about? Also, someone said this in the comment, but Google it. How about you Google it? How about you Google choir director in Austin, Texas? Your kids that go to a high school, I'm sure they have a choir, I would imagine. Why don't you ask them? So I feel like this is all some sort of engagement plot to get people to send emails to that email so they can be added to her list or something. Because it's general enough, it's vague enough that, 100, 1,000 people might respond and email her, so if she can add to her list. I don't know, that's my guess, because otherwise, what possible question could she ask that she couldn't Google? And next week she's gonna be on Rach Talk. I saw this in a comment, so I'm stealing it. But next week she'll be on Rach Talk and be like, oh my God, guys, guess what? I just found out this thing. You're never gonna believe it. It's called Google. And you can just type in your questions and find answers. It's amazing. I have never seen such a thing like this. It is crazy, guys. How am I the only one that knows about this? And then we're gonna have to correct her on next week's stream. Okay, we're moving on. So if you're a choir director, email Rachel and answer her questions that she has not actually asked. She just wants you to email her first. Okay, cool.
I was talking to you guys about how I couldn't figure out why my kids won't wear coats. They hate to wear coats to school. And by the way, y'all came through big. You commented, you told me, you were like, oh, I know why kids don't wear coats, because the coat doesn't fit in their locker, it doesn't fit in their backpack. They don't want to carry it around in school, because once you're in school, you're not cold anymore. It still feels a little silly to me, because I'd rather be warm than cold, but thank you for the answers in the comment section. Here's another momversation, as it were. Someone has to have copyrighted that. Someone has got to have come up with momversation before me. Because if not, Jack, I need you to trademark that today. I need you to get your law degree.
Oh, there she
find
is,
out
Google.
about trademark law, and trademark it by end of day. Thank you. I have a 4-year-old daughter.
Guys, this is a momversation now, not a regular conversation, a momversation. She already had momfession, which I think is a stretch to say that that's a good use of the word mom and confession. Momfessions, when she's like, guys, I'm dating somebody and I'm married. Do you remember that video? It's from circa 2015, Rachel Hollis. Actually, okay, sorry. Let's take a little second break and watch that, because it reminded me. I like to include old stuff if I can. So she's having momversations now, but back in 2015, she had momfessions. And they're short, so they won't take very long, I promise. It'll be a short blast from the past. I promise. It's only a minute. And this is sort of funny because it's about Dave. But it's also about her boo thing kind of now. Well, I don't know. Not really, but you'll see. You'll see what I mean in a second.
Momfession. I have been married for 10 years and I'm still dating someone. It's my husband.
Okay.
It's a really easy thing to sort of forget to do when you've been together as long as we have. But I can trace every time in our marriage where I have felt less connected to him, or I felt like we're in a rut, or I've hated his guts, to the times that we are not seeking each other out. We're not making time to date each other. It's my greatest tip and my best advice for married people is that you need to put in as much effort into each other as you did like that first month that you were dating. We have a bad habit of getting into a rhythm of every Thursday we're going to go to the same sushi restaurant and we're going to talk about the same things. So we have really challenged ourselves this summer to 1 week I get to pick and then the next week he gets to pick. And for me, that means that we could go to Barnes & Noble, or we're going to go have Indian food or do things that I love. And for him, that might mean that we're going to play miniature golf, or we're going to play video games together in the living room. The point is,
loser stuff, as she would say.
Date your spouse. It is the best gift that you can give each other.
And then divorce your spouse. Okay, I'm sorry. That was a momfession. So that was 2014. I'm sorry. 2014 momfessions, 2022 momversations. We've really evolved here, everybody. And while we're on the subject of Dave, I saw this because I was looking up Rachel Hollis's run. It's called, she made up a running hashtag, Rachel H Runs. So if you want to look through all of her running posts through the years, Rachel H Runs is the way to do it. It was a little research before I did this video, or this live stream. And I found this, 2 runners. And in the podcast, which we'll get to very shortly, Rachel discusses how Dave was kind of an asshole to her when she was going to run her marathon, and he wasn't a good partner to her. But that's 2022 Rachel. This is 2017 Rachel, and she's got a very different tone here. So it says, if you ever look at my marriage and think we're blessed, you're right. But if you ever think we're blessed because we lucked into an outstanding marriage, let me set you straight. Okay, set us straight. Outstanding takes work. Outstanding takes years of dedicated work where you both commit again and again to keep fighting for each other. Our marriage has survived so many things. Hurt feelings, bitterness, allowed to fester, fear, resentment, codependency, foster care. Oh, I've read this before because remember the foster care part. I was like, it's all these horrible words and then foster care. Okay, 5 years of waiting for an adoption, loss, grief, parenting. There are so many things we could have run away from. So many times we could have settled for an okay marriage or a good enough marriage, but we chose again and again and again to push ourselves as individuals and as a couple. Next week, we'll celebrate 15 years since our first date. Today, we ran our 6th half marathon together. We are so blessed, but luck has nothing to do with it. Hashtag Rachel H Runs. So they chose again and again and again to stay together until they didn't. And I choose sadness, now available on Kia's World in the description below. I just thought that was interesting. It's such a different tone these days. And we're just supposed to pretend like, oh no, this has always been the way it is. Okay, let's continue. Thank you very much for that aside. Back to the regular scheduled programming.
She is about to turn 5 very soon, here in a couple weeks, but for all intents and purposes, I guess I have a 5-year-old daughter. She's 5, and she does this thing that I remember doing when I was a little girl, and I remember it annoyed my mom so much, and when she first started doing this, it annoyed me so much, and then I have a totally different perspective on it. Noah changes her clothes 19 times a day. If it's a Saturday, her room will look like a tornado hit it, but it's a tornado that only affected princess dresses and sparkly things. She changes her clothes, constantly changes her clothes. And yes, we are working on picking up after herself, but for the most part, she just consistently changing outfits. And I was getting so frustrated with her because she makes such a mess. And I remember my mom getting frustrated with me because I made such a mess. And so one Saturday, she's changed into yet another thing. And I'm like, Noah, girl, what on earth? Why do you keep changing your dress? And she's like, oh, I change whenever I get bored. From the mouths of babes. I change whenever I get bored. And I just thought, what a beautiful idea from a little kid. That whenever she feels like she wants to shake something up, she goes and finds the next colorful, sparkly, exciting things and just changes her outfit. I feel like there's something for us to take away from that on a lot of different levels. Maybe you're feeling a little bored right now, or you're feeling a little stuck, and you should change your dress. Change new jeans. Change putting on something you haven't worn in a while from the closet, right? Maybe you need to change your hair. Still thinking about cutting my hair, you guys. TBD. Maybe you just need to shake things up, but like the idea of looking for something.
Maybe you should take Noah to an activity or something. She's so bored, she's changing her clothes all day. Maybe that's a sign you should pay more attention to him. I don't know. I'm not saying that she doesn't pay attention to her kids. I don't think she's got the Dave syndrome where, he's got hours of footage ignoring the kids. I'm not saying that. But maybe that's the takeaway, not a lesson that you can teach other moms, mom-versationally. Maybe that's just a sign that your child needs you a little bit more. Perhaps. The world may never know.
To inspire yourself when it comes to clothes, I just thought that was really cool. And for anybody else who has a kid that keeps changing their clothes, maybe you ask them, why are you doing that? In fact, any of you who have a kid that keeps doing something where they're playing, but the way they're playing, you're like, why do they do this? It's worth asking, why?
Unless your kids aren't wearing their coats to school, in that scenario, ask the internet. That's what I've learned. Because she didn't ask her sons why they aren't wearing their coats in the wintertime while it's cold. She rather ask everyone on Rach Talk. But if it's anyone else, don't take that advice. Take her advice now. Ask your kids, because then you'll find life lessons for you. Okay. Rachel?
Get a life.
Thank you.
Because I think we as adults have this idea of how our kids are supposed to act or who they're supposed to be. And oftentimes we're wanting them to function in their lives with the mindset of a 30-year-old, not a 5-year-old. And something really beautiful happens when you actually try and meet them at their level and just understand. Because at first, I was just seeing her making a mess. And now I see it and I'm like, oh, you're working on your creativity. And even more important than that, I love that she's finding a way to take on boredom. See, our kids are so conditioned now to
changing her clothes. How about put some markers on the table? That's a better way, I think, to be creative, maybe. I don't know. Or get a sewing kit or something, or take her to a class that helps her make clothes, or I don't know. If she loves fashion, that's kind of what she's insinuating, I'm assuming here. I don't think letting her change her clothes 19 times and having her say she's bored is really a great lesson. I don't know. I'm not a mom, so I can't have a mom fashion or a mom versation with everyone here. Oh my God, I can't talk today. I can't have the mom fashion with everyone, other moms, but that's just my 2 cents. As a former child, when you're bored, I don't think just allowing you to do whatever weird behavior you're doing to fill the boredom is necessarily the best thing. Help them fill their time with curricular activities, perhaps.
look at a screen, to pick up a tablet or watch YouTube or find a phone or play video games. I know I am not the only mom that is constantly trying to wrestle those things out of my kids' hands. And I love the idea of normalizing boredom. I think it's really important for kids to be bored. That's where their imagination is born. And for Noah right now, the way that she's combating it is with the most fabulous Elsa dress she can find. So it's worth checking in. with your kid, or maybe with your inner child. Maybe you just need a sparkly dress. Okay, it's time for this.
I guess that was supposed to be some sort of like really prolific message that she's just delivered and truth bombed us. Just dropping the fire, guys. Boom! Do you hear that one? Just put on a sparkly dress. I'm not feeling that one. And who even knows if it's true? Probably it's not even a real story. She just came up with it. Like she comes up with most of her stories and just attributes it to a child in her life or some sort of thing that never actually happened. But yeah, not that profound, I think. I think that was a little bit lacking. Needs to be, you know, oiled a little bit before you start doing that at the Spiritual Warrior live event, whenever that comes around. Okay, and at this point now we're at the STJ Dreamcatcher promo, where she's trying to sell her journals, her Start Today journals, and using real life women who are telling their real life testimonials and that are definitely not rehearsed and read as a script, for sure. Definitely off the cuff. There is no memorization going on here at all. It is very natural. And I'm not blaming the girl who's in this or the woman who's recording this, but it just, the last one, the woman had the laundry basket next to her, and it was very oddly placed and just looked staged to me. This one doesn't look as staged, but it doesn't come off as very like, hey, I just really enjoyed this journal. I wanted to send a little message. It seems like it was set up for the point of, okay, we're going to make this video. We're going to promote it. Do it like this. Write it like this. Say these things. That's how I read it, or that's how I took it. So I'll let you decide.
This week's featured Dreamcatcher. Dreamcatchers are people inside of our community who have been working on the same goal for months and sometimes even years. And when they achieve it, they send us a video or take a picture and tell us their story. And
that's what I mean. Like she's setting it up as if like this is just like one random woman that just sent us this message because she enjoyed her journal so much. That's how she's making it seem. And when you actually see the video, you're like, okay, yeah, right, sure.
So inspiring, and quite honestly, we haven't really done a very good job of showing off the work that people have done, so I really want to celebrate them. So let's check out this week's story.
The Start Today Journal is a tool to help you manifest the life of your dreams, and this daily practice helped me manifest my dream home. Allow me to explain. I'm a photographer, so I've always dreamt of living on the road full time in a converted bus, van, or RV. So a year ago, whenever I was financially ready to take that plunge, I started following a bunch of accounts on Instagram of people who are doing just that. And I came across this one account that had the cutest camper I'd ever seen in my entire life, and I fell in love. I loved everything about it, the interior, the layout, the size, everything. So I instantly knew that I wanted a camper like that of my own someday. So every morning in my Start Today journal, I wrote down the words, I own my dream camper. And I spent the next couple of months going to RV dealerships, showing them photos of this camper and saying, this is what I'm looking for, to no avail. And then 3 months later, I was sitting in the airport fixing to board a flight to Phoenix, mindlessly scrolling through Instagram, and I see that my dream camper from the account that I mentioned was for sale. So I bought it, and I fully credit the Start Today journal for helping make this dream a reality.
Oh my gosh, so cool! Oh my gosh.
I don't know this for sure, but I have a feeling that Rachel knows that woman because the manifesting stuff is so fresh and so new. Exactly. It's been within the last, 3 months or so of her brand, so that this woman just has this whole story and actually uses the word manifesting in the beginning of the video. I ain't buying it. I think Rachel either hired her, is a friend of someone. I don't know who Jack's girlfriend is, but I know Jack, and they're going to talk about it in a second, lives in a van, a converted van. So I wonder if it's someone that he knows. I just don't think this was a natural, random woman who just decided to share her story and send it to Rachel. I just have big doubts. But again, can't confirm. So who knows, but it just seems so scripted to me and staged.
You know what I love about this idea, this whole concept of people in community chasing dreams, is that none of us have the same dream. We were just talking about this the other day. Jack and I went to a Tony Robbins conference 5 or 6 years ago. And in that conference, I was dreaming and setting goals of doing this, right? Having my own conference and writing books and having a podcast, all of these things that have come to fruition. And Jack's dream was to convert a van into, what do you call it? Like, it's like a small home. Yeah, and I remember him telling us.
Yes, a small home. That's the term, small home.
That at this conference, I mean,
There's his license plate.
being like, wow, this is wild. Like, that is this huge goal and dream in his life, and it's so different from mine. But we can be aligned in community over the fact that we're chasing something. There's beauty and commonality in us reaching for more. So I freaking love.
We're back to reaching for more, made for more. We're back to that, but not entirely. She's not committing to this phrasing, which is reaching for more now. We're done with made for more.
That we've seen people pay off their debt, people go back to school, people who are getting their nursing degree. She got a camper, someone else started a business, someone else went one more time through IVF and finally got their baby. Like, it's so inspiring to see you guys live out your dreams. And it's not magic. I say this every single time. The Start Today journal isn't the key. The key is the consistency. The key is something every single day that grounds you in gratitude and then helps you to focus on your goals. So if you want to do this practice for free, you can go listen to episode 72 of the podcast.
Write down what you're grateful for. I think that's a pretty common topic that everyone can understand in one sentence. Why do you have to watch an episode of anything to know how to write down what you're grateful for?
Any notebook you have, and do that practice every single day.
I will give her credit, though. She's saying that you don't need to buy her journal to do it. Okay, I'll give her credit where credit is due. She says you can do this for free by writing on a piece of paper. You don't have to buy her book in order to manifest your dreams. Okay, fine.
So if you want the pretty journal, then check out the description of this video and you can grab your own. I mean, this dog. I can't even be mad at him. He's in recovery from his surgery, Jack. If I put him in the other room, he's going to be really sad and he's going to feel forlorn.
What is wrong with him? He's being fine. He hasn't barked. He's not jumping on you. He's fine.
And
Free Jeff.
like, I've abandoned him and it's, you know, it's fine.
Okay, so it's
Okay, before we begin this journey, yes, Daddy Robbins is always mentioned these days. I don't know if she's trying to get a deal with Tony Robbins. I know that Tony Robbins pays his affiliates pretty well, I guess. So basically, if you convince someone to go to a Tony Robbins conference, there's a code that, an affiliate code that you can get and send to people. So I wonder if she's like gonna start that, because you can actually apparently make a good amount of money if you have a big audience and you're trying to push people to Tony Robbins. That's what I've heard. So I wonder if she's bringing him up literally every session, every Rach Talk now and podcast. She brings him up constantly, is to try to sow those seeds early so that now she can start like, oh, I just have this code where you can go and buy a conference just like I did at some point, so that she can make money off of that, perhaps. Daddy Robbins, he's like the father of all this bullshit, conferences and whatnot, and they all, fangirl over him. Not a fan. I think he, does a lot of damage. I think, he's so expensive, and I think a lot of it is theater. Most of it probably is theater. Maybe you get something out of it if you go, but is it worth $3,000 or whatever to sit in an audience and watch a guy say, like, you can do it? I don't think so, personally. Anyways, enough of Tony Robbins, back to Rachel. This is the vlog of her running the marathon. We've made it. So this is how she's marketing it, that she's no longer going to be a weenie. So she talked about going skiing before. Now she's skiing, so she's not a weenie. And she jumped into the water for 5 seconds in Europe with her boyfriend, who's English. She didn't know. And now she's doing the marathon. So this is the behind the scenes of her story. So this is the first piece of content where she's talking about she's doing the marathon randomly.
like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just having my coffee and I'm feeling really excited. My intention for today is to have fun and to do
Thanks,
this
Mel.
with love instead of fear. But there's definitely a part of me that is like, there's no way this is possible. But then there's this little voice that's like, but what if? I don't know, this is a really fun little adventure, and it's definitely not something Weenie would do.
On Friday,
I'm sorry, since I come from a background of video production, you have to pre-plan all this stuff. So she knows that she has to make a blog or vlog where she's going to be documenting this whole experience. So you got to think of like the process. Like, this is also, if you can't tell, this is Yodel Boy from Walmart. Mason Ramsey, that's my phone case. So she's like this, like, guys, I'm having my coffee and I just can't believe that this is happening to me. Like, you have to, it's not like someone's there capturing this like a documentary. Like, she has to push record and start saying like, guys, I just wanted to tell you. So to me, it's like, it seems really authentic in some ways. Like, oh, she's just, she's waking up in the morning, she's having her coffee, she's recording, but I don't know, like there's production behind it. There's a strategy behind it. It's documenting the whole thing and setting you up. And I don't know, it's just so weird to me that this is acceptable still. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just weird. Like, this whole thing is supposed to be like, oh, this spontaneous last minute decision. I just decided to do this marathon because I'm so awesome and amazing. I didn't even train for it. I'm like it's just so random. But it's like, no, but you literally had the forethought to record every single moment, including while you're running, which I think is crazy because marathon running as hard as it is, you're gonna be talking and running through it. I don't know. I just don't think it's as like, oh, spontaneous as she's making it out to be.
Going to yoga, and I was like, there was weird traffic and I was going to be late, and I'm really chill about like, hey, if I make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't. I ended up getting to the yoga studio like 3 minutes after class started, which means I can't go into class. And so I was like bummed because I really want to go to yoga. My guardian angels, my spirit guides, they wanted me to go somewhere else. So I decided instead of going to yoga, I'm going to go get a smoothie. As I'm driving to the shop, I see a
spirit guides and guardian angels wanted her to go somewhere else. Okay.
Big sign that says, be aware, there's a marathon on Sunday. And I just, no. But then I'm like, there's no way. There's literally, the most I've run is 6 miles. Like, you can't run a marathon. And then there's a part of me that's like, but what if you could? So I just get this wild idea. And right there in that moment, I drove to the expo.
And also the music. Like, I know, like, maybe this was Jack editing it, but really, do we need this like inspirational music to this selfie in the car, her explaining that she couldn't get to yoga on time, so then she saw a sign that said there's a marathon, and she's like, but what if I could? But what if I could? Like, okay, great. But the music, it's just so cringy. I'm sorry. It's not that inspirational. You're a woman who's ran, what did she say, 7 half marathons before in your life, and you just decide like, hey, I have nothing to do, I'm going to run a marathon. Cool, great for you. You probably should have trained for it, but also whatever, you feel good enough to do it, great. It's not that inspiring. It's not like she lost her legs in a fire and now she's going to go become a firefighter. Like, I don't know. I just feel like this is not that inspirational. It's like very basic middle class thing to do. I don't think it's even a good advice to tell people, oh, I did this without training. But, okay, you want to show off? Great, you did it. Why is this inspirational to anyone else? I don't know. But we got the music as if it's like her overcoming some great adversity.
It was on Friday. I drove to the expo and I bought a marathon entry. I actually feel like super emotional because I haven't gotten to do this in so long. Gratitude run.
I don't know. I also think that's cringy too. Like, you're so great. I'm glad you're grateful, I guess, but like, you're grateful that you're running a marathon. Why? I don't know. Maybe I'm too mean. Maybe I'm nitpicking her now, but I just cannot imagine me by myself doing a marathon going, I'm just so grateful for myself. Like, maybe I should do that, but I just cannot imagine me recording that without some intentions like, okay, I'm going to sell this, or this is part of a thing that I'm being paid to make. I have to tell them my inspirational story or whatever. But if it was just for me, like, this is something I'm truly grateful for and I like really believe it in my heart, I would never record myself saying that. I just wouldn't. Let me know if that's wrong.
I think that's one
All
thing
right, well,
that's potentially
here goes nothing.
wrong.
Okay, the last time I did a marathon, I dedicated every mile to somebody, and I thought that would be really cool this time. So the first mile I did in gratitude for myself, and really grateful for myself for doing crazy shit like this.
Why? Like, why? I don't get it. Like, this is a journal. I said this on my Instagram story. I was like, this is a journal entry. Write this in your journal. Be grateful for yourself. Yeah, girl, do it. Go for it. Girl, wash your face. Girl, run a marathon. I love it. But why do you need to record it and put it out there to the public as if it's like helpful information? I mean, some people could argue, well, I was inspired by it, so therefore it was worth it. It's like, okay, true. But for me, it's like, this is just cringy because it's like, great, I'm glad you're proud of yourself, but like, I feel weird watching someone just congratulate themselves over and over and over again for literally doing something that looks like hundreds of other people are doing that aren't making a vlog style video about it. I don't know. Am I just a hater, troll?
The second mile.
And also she said that so she's dedicating every mile to someone in her life. And the first mile is for herself. Like, okay, cool.
Is for Jackson. Just finished 4 miles. Gonna have my first goo. It still tastes disgusting.
Yeah, and I'm seeing, sorry, let me stop for a second. I'm seeing in the comments, I forget exactly what she said about the 6 mile. She's run marathons before, so I don't know what she's talking about and she's run many, many half marathons. So I don't know if she cut out a part that didn't make sense anymore or what. But yeah, she's run marathons before. She's run one in LA. She's run the Run Disney thing, which was a half marathon. She's done that several times. There's tons of evidence that she's run before. She just hasn't trained specifically for this run, is what she means to say.
I didn't think about how many hills were in Austin. And I'm looking at like basically a mountain that I'm about to climb on mile 12. And you know what? Sometimes, or a lot of the time, ignorance is bliss, man. If I had checked this route out before I signed up, I would have talked myself out of it. But here we are. Just passed.
And I want to also point out that she's running and recording herself. Like, that is hard. I showed you the pictures of myself from my 5K where I looked like I was just committed some awful crime and was escaping. And I had not stopped once at all to take a picture, to breathe, to drink water. Like, I wasn't talking at all. I was dead. And her time, I think someone found it on Reddit, was like, a 12-minute mile or something like that, which is not like horrible. That's pretty good for running a whole marathon. And she's doing it while she's recording. It just seems like she's showing off even more. Like, I'm not even just not prepared for this. I can talk to the camera while I'm doing it. So it makes me feel like maybe she did train for this and she's just lying, to be honest.
15 miles. And
because she seems so casual about it.
My low back really hurts. I think from running uphill so much. Other than that, I keep trying to remind myself. David Goggins says, when you feel like you're done, you really had only 40%. And I don't feel like I'm done yet. And I passed 15 miles, so I'm sure this is gonna suck a little bit, but I got it. Okay, we're halfway through mile 18, and I am walking. Basically I'm walking uphill. Like, if it's uphill, I'm walking, and then I'm running the rest of it, because my low back so angry, and I would stop and really stretch, but I'm worried that if I do, my muscles will seize up and I won't be able to keep going. So I'm just gonna walk the hill, uphill, run the rest, and my only goal today is to freaking finish. So just maybe a little slower than I normally would do a race, but I'm freaking doing it.
This comment is so funny. Why doesn't she call it a mom-a-thon? But yeah, mom-fessions, mom-versations, momathons. I love it.
I have less than a mile left. I can't believe this. I can't believe.
This music, man.
I don't know what it hurts. Oh God, it hurts so much. But I'm here and I'm still going.
Now, okay, this picture is fine. Whatever. But if you're crying, I just don't think it's, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't like when people are like, okay, I'm crying. Okay. Like you're taking a picture of a moment. Like have a fucking moment to yourself. Like, does this need to be content? No, it does not. I'm not inspired in any way other than like, oh man, I should probably start running again because I haven't ran, and look at her, she's doing running, which is like kind of like a shame thing. Like if she wanted to shame people, I kind of feel like it worked. But I'm not inspired like, wow, this woman who, you know, runs a podcast for a living, like ran a marathon. It's crazy. It's amazing. It's shocking. I'm not inspired at all. I think if anything, I feel like, well, she can do it. I can do it, I suppose. But other than that, I'm not like, wow, what a great full story this is. And like to take a picture of yourself crying, like this needs to be printed out, put it in your diary. Don't post this on the internet. That's my 2 cents. Again, like, do you want to show the tears off? And this music, I'm sorry, this music's got to go. This music's got to go. It's either for people who overcome some crazy adversity, which she has not in this case, or don't use it. It's too much. It's way too loud too. And you could see herself looking at herself in the camera the whole time, like, I don't know, I'm just turned off by this. I just think this is too self-serving. I'm sorry.
I didn't originally tell my boyfriend that I was gonna do this marathon thing because I didn't want him to worry. And so then I told him at the beginning of the race, and he was so wonderful and so supportive, and I think he knew at that point it was too late to like worry about me.
I think that's a red flag too. If you don't feel comfortable sharing something as simple as, I'm gonna go do this marathon and make 25 pieces of content from it, why? What's he gonna stop her? What is he gonna be concerned? Like, she's a grown woman. It's weird that you'd hide something like that until it was over. I don't know this guy at all. He doesn't just talk about himself on the internet, thankfully. But she shares every story about him. It seems to be more and more of a red flag. Like, well, I lied to him so he wouldn't worry. It's like, that's not good. That's probably not what you should do with someone that you love deeply and care about and all of that. You know, that's something you should probably be comfortable sharing with him.
But the one thing that he was like insistent on was like, you have to take an ice bath. You have to take an ice bath. I've never taken an ice bath before. I hate cold water, as you'll recall from jumping into the ocean. But I also know that if I take an ice bath, the inflammation and the pain will be like way less. So my sweet 15-year-old made me an ice bath and put on meditation music. Hello, Alexa. And put Epsom salt, like he made a bath. It's the cutest thing ever. So I'm gonna attempt this, and Boo says that I have to stay in the water for at least 3 minutes. I already started this.
Well, if Boo said it, then it must be done. So now we're gonna watch Rachel get into the bathtub because her watching herself accomplish a goal and crying about it was just not enough intimate moments that we had to see of her life today. Now we're gonna watch her get into a bathtub, sort of.
Shower so that I can go there immediately after. Oh, I hate this already. Alexa, set a timer for 3 minutes. This feels like honestly kind of impossible, but oh damn. Oh God, it's okay. We're fine. Oh Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Oh, it's on my vagina. We made it to the vagine. Oh, just straighten out your legs. Frick.
And just a reminder, she made all this video content to share with the public. It's the wanting to be relatable. Why would you want to think I want to be relatable? Why do you shoot video of yourself getting into an ice bath in the tub and talk about how it feels other than to be relatable? Again, we're going back to what is the point of this?
I'm touching the body. I'm touching the body. I know this isn't how an ice bath is supposed to go. My apologies
Thanks, Colleen.
to like every actual ice bath.
Also, hold on.
But also,
We got a new tattoo over here. Unsure what it is. I haven't seen a full photo of it, but it looks like it's some sort of like map or world or the flat earth or something. I don't think it's really flat earth, but it's some sort of compass or something. She's got a new tattoo that she hasn't talked about yet. Just thought that was interesting. And how do I know that? Well, because I don't have a life. How should I fix that?
Get a life.
Thanks, Dave. Let's continue.
Demon for me getting it wrong, but at least I'm doing something.
I started this year and I promised myself that I would stop being a weenie. I don't know if you saw that episode of Rach Talk, but it's only February and I have jumped into an ocean in England. I've gone skiing. I have run a marathon without training, and I had dental work done. Yep. Day after this, I went and had dental work done, which you're laughing because that sounds stupid, but I am petrified of the dentist. And I was like, you know what? We're not a weenie. We can do hard things, and that means someone is going to give you a shot in your gums, and you're going to live.
How is this not just her bragging about how amazing she is? I don't understand how this is content. How is this relatable to, how is this like, I guess it's just voyeurism. Like we just can watch her life. Because it started out sort of that way where she had a blog and she was talking about like recipes and stuff. So I guess that's kind of just watching her life. But then it switched into, I'm a self-help guru. I change women's lives. I will change your life, transform your life. Come to my conference, watch my content. It'll change your life. Okay, great. Now that that's over, now we're back to like, I'm not going to provide you anything except you can just watch my life and see what I'm doing. Because this whole explanation at the end, like, I'm not a weenie anymore. I got dental surgery. I ran a marathon with no training. I went into the ice in England. I went on skate. It's like, cool. Now what? But I don't know. I don't find this kind of content good or beneficial. It makes me feel bad about myself. Like, oh, I wish I could go to England and jump in the water, but ain't got that cash, though.
Started pushing towards things that scare you. If you start pushing towards that discomfort zone, I think you'd be shocked at the person you become.
Oh, okay, that's the lesson. Push away from the comfort zone. Okay, so that justifies why she had to tell us about all these things that she's accomplished. Thank you, Heather. Appreciate you.
Okay, now it's time to learn something. Okay, did I just look like a crazy person, Jack? It doesn't matter.
Yes. I hate this transition. Why? Why?
Okay, now it's time to learn something. Okay, did I just look like a crazy person, Jack? It doesn't matter. It's fine. I'm a little...
This is when you know it's going to be an ad. Hashtag ad coming up. Not paid for ad, but she's trying to promote something. So I think she's trying to leave these little Easter eggs or like these little segments so that when she does have something to sell, it will not feel totally out of place. So she's putting these little like transitions in so that she moves on to the sales portion of the show where she doesn't actually have something to sell right now, but hopefully in the future she can sell like a mattress or she can sell BetterHelp therapy or whatever else is on her podcast. I think that's what she wants to do. That's what I think, is that she wants to start setting it up so that you get into the mindset of like, okay, we're going to sell stuff.
I wouldn't call me crazy. It doesn't matter. Recently, I did a series on podcasts called The Mindset for Success. It was 3 parts. I talked about how you need to focus, how you need to think. And I interviewed one of my friends who's incredibly successful in business and in life and asked him to tell me his tips too. One of the things we talked about in those podcasts was the importance of having people in your life, people in your inner circle who are at your level or above you in the areas that you want to succeed in. It's really important because if you're trying to do something that nobody in your circle has done, it can be really hard to believe that it's possible. Yes, there are ways. You can read books or listen to podcasts or watch YouTube videos like this one to help you understand how to model behavior of someone who is successful. But the best case scenario is if you have people, if you can actively work to find friends and acquaintances and people in your life who are trying to grow in the ways that you are trying to grow.
She said at Rise that all the people that she hung out with that were in personal development basically led her astray. Thank you, Taylor. She said like, oh, all the people they tried to push me too hard. I just want to be a hippie with my bra off and be with my kids. I just want to be a mom. And she said all the people that I talked to in the space that I was in, they tried to push me to work too hard, including Dave. But now she's saying like, you need to be around people who push you to be better. It's like, so which one is it? Every time she says something, it's a contradiction. I can't keep up.
The best example of that is other entrepreneurs or other people that I admire.
Yeah, we're literally still in Rach Talk. It's been a whirlwind of ups and downs and turnarounds. It's so off topic. I don't even know. This is just like a Mod Podge today. We're almost at the end though.
Who I'm real life friends with. And my favorite is when one of those people recommends a book. So with the idea of your inner circle and them helping you to elevate, I wanted to share a book that Lauren Bostic recently shared with me. So Lauren hosts a podcast called The Skinny Confidential. I've been on it before. I actually got to go back and be on it again recently and chatted with her and her husband Michael. And in between us being on camera, she was like, oh my gosh, have you ever read Louise Hay? Now, if you're not familiar, Louise Hay is like the godmother of sort of personal development with a spiritual bent. And
she's talked about Louise Hay like 12 times already in this last couple months, just FYI. And she's passed away now, but I've read a couple things. I haven't read her book, but I read a couple things online. It's from what I've seen on Amazon of Louise Hay's book, the one that she's promoting right now. It was like, disease is your fault. And that was some of the negative reviews. They were saying like, oh, if you're sick, it's because you're not being positive enough. That was the reviews that I read. Now, again, I haven't read the book. I can't say that that's true or not. That was some people's experience. I think I'm going to order it and we can read it maybe in some capacity or form, because I think it's one of those like secret things like, well, if you have cancer, it's probably because you were a bad person. And if you were a child with cancer, it's probably because you were a bad person in a past life, which is insane and not healthy and not good advice to be giving out to anyone, in my humble opinion. So.
But also.
But she doesn't care about that. So she's going to promote anyways. And here we go.
And she has since passed away, but her books have sold a gajillion copies. They're so good. And when Lauren asked me that question, I was like, I never have. It seems crazy. I've never read Louise Hay. So she was like, you have to start with this book. She was so right. I got it on Audible and I bought the physical copy because I loved it so much, and now I want to recommend it to you. You Can Heal Your Life it's got to be 25 years old, and it is still so good. It's all about mindset and inner child and what we attract into our life. It sort of hits on a few things that I'm really interested in, and it's so freaking great. So she reads it on Audible. If you want to hear her voice, it's very soothing. But if you want to take a deeper dive like I did, because you want to write notes in the margin, you can also grab it anywhere books are sold. I think you guys are going to like it. If you want to listen to the actual podcast and take a deeper dive, you can check out episode 249 to learn more. All right, you guys, that is this week's episode of Rach Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a chuckle. I hope you learned something. If you dug it, tell your friends, man. Be like, this chick's awesome. Go hang out with her. You can find the show on podcasts. You can find the show on YouTube and wherever you are.
You can find the show on podcasts, guys. You can find it on podcasts, whatever that means. Okay, that was Rach Talk. And yes, I think Louise Hay, I'm seeing a lot of comments about her, and I feel like those are what I've seen so far. So I will definitely buy the book, read it, and we can do a review of Louise Hay, because I found some wacky things on YouTube at least. And I think reading the book, though, since she's promoted it multiple times, it's even sitting next to her on the table during the talk. There's got to be some sort of deeper hidden message here. So, okay, that was Rach Talk. So we got the visuals of her running the marathon. Now we're going to listen to the podcast of her talking about how amazing she is. More so than she already talked about and showed us, that she ran this marathon with no training, and how Dave is an asshole for not supporting her in the past, blah, blah, blah. Let's watch. Okay, and I just want to read the description, because this is supposed to help us, I'm not even a mom, but help us momversations, help us ladies feel good about ourselves and accomplish our goals, right? This is the description. I have climbed mountains. I have run races. I've done adventure half marathons on the coast in Ireland. I have climbed the equivalent of Everest. I've done some crazy challenges, but I did something this weekend that I did not believe was possible. And I don't mean that I did something I didn't think was possible for me. I mean, I did something on Sunday that I did not know was possible for humans. For real. My goal in this episode is that at the end of it, you sign up for something you don't think is possible. Something that you choose to push yourself to your limits, beyond your limits. You can do hard things. Isn't that someone else's catchphrase? Isn't that some other self-help person's catchphrase? Isn't that Glennon Doyle's catchphrase? You can do hard things. Are we plagiarizing again, Rachel? Are we doing that? Okay, so that was the description of this podcast. So if you don't hate yourself already, get ready to hate yourself, because that's what I think the point of this is. That's how I read it, at least. The self-indulgent, self-promotion, braggadocious language is just too much for me. It's too much, Rachel. That's too much.
Unfollow me.
If you disagree with that,
Unfollow me.
just kidding. But also,
Get a life.
okay, let's begin.
It's like the craziest thing I did the most. It's like the craziest thing I've ever done. I have climbed mountains. I've run races. I've done adventure half marathons on the coast in Ireland. I have climbed the equivalent of Everest. I've done crazy challenges, but I did something this weekend that I did not believe was possible. And I don't mean that I did something I didn't think was possible for me. I mean, I did something on Sunday that I did not know was possible for humans. Hi, I'm Rachel Hollis, and this is my podcast. I spend so many hours of every single week reading and listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos and trying to find out as much as I
And not remembering any of it when it comes time to actually hitting record.
can about the world around me. And that's what we do on this show. We talk about everything, life and how to be an entrepreneur. What happened to dinosaurs? What's the best recipe for fried chicken? What's the best plan for intermittent fasting? What's going on with our...
How is she going to have a chicken recipe on a podcast? That is the wrong platform, lady. She's going to just repeat, okay, ingredients, chicken, breast, 6 ounces. Yeah, this is never going to be a recipe channel. Any content she actually has is literally her talking about something that she's accomplished, or how much she's better than someone else, or that people are just jealous of her. That is the only content that I've heard in the last month or so in any sort of Rachel Hollis universe, just for the record.
Child. How's therapy working out for you? Whatever it is my guests are into, I want to unpack it so that we can all understand. These are conversations. This is information for the curious. This is the Rachel Hollis Podcast.
Sorry.
Before we jump into today's podcast, which I am really excited to talk to you guys about, because you're not even gonna believe it. I literally did something impossible. Except it wasn't impossible. I now know it wasn't impossible, but I thought it was impossible, and I'm pretty sure you also think what I did is impossible. We're going to get to that. But before we do, you can't see me. If you're listening to this, you'll have to watch it on YouTube if you care to see. You can't see me, but I'm holding this giant mug. And as I was preparing this little tea before I came in here to talk to y'all, I was like, I'm going to talk to them about this because it has been so helpful in my life, and it is the simplest thing. This is not an ad, obviously. Who would
paying me to say this. Can we have a conversation about ginger? No, I am not referring to the redheaded woman on Gilligan's Island. / do kids today even know what Gilligan's Island is? I'm not sure. Ginger, the root, the whatever family.
It's been a while since she's had a guest. She had Logic on, the singer, musician, which I'm assuming came from her boyfriend's world. I didn't listen to it. I have no idea what they talked about, but yeah, it's been a while since she's had a guest, and a guest that's in any way relatable to any of the content she talks about. Lately, it's been about her and things that she's done and her own personal stories solo.
It's not a fruit. It's not a vegetable. I don't know what it is. You know what I'm talking about. It looks like a sort of a potato with hands. Oh my God. So ginger, I did not grow up eating it. And I think that if your family doesn't cook with certain ingredients or certain foods, they feel really foreign to you. I didn't really have ginger, to my knowledge, until I was an adult and I tried sushi, and then I would have ginger with my sushi. I definitely didn't have raw ginger. And then as I started to get healthier and learn about nutrition, I kept seeing it come up as this great example of something that was good for you. And it was always like this, oh, I want to have more ginger in my life. I know.
She'll literally tell a story about anything. Guys, I had salt for the first time ever, and I want to tell you a 15-minute story about how I tried salt on my food and how you should try salt too. It's like, oh my God, we're stretching for content so much. Just get to the point. It's an hour. This is an hour, and we're talking about how she had ginger. She put ginger in her tea. This is the story that divulges from, I put some ginger in my tea, and I have tea right now, and I'm going to talk to you about my marathon running. It's a lot.
Should. And I've been on this journey for, probably a year to balance my hormones. And in learning how to balance my hormones, P.S.
This part's interesting, sort of. She talks about, I'm seeing homeopaths and naturalist medicinal stuff. I mean, she's definitely going off the deep end. She's going off the deep end hard.
I'm estrogen dominant, so I worked with...
Let's go back for a second.
I've been on this journey for, probably a year to balance my hormones. And in learning how to balance my hormones, P.S. side note, I'm estrogen dominant. So I worked with a homeopathic doctor and a naturopath and all of those things to learn how to balance my hormones without medicine. And it has literally been life-changing. I'm going to interview my doctor all about it so you guys can learn about it too. In the meantime, Google it. If you've never heard of estrogen dominance, look up the symptoms because it'll blow your mind. So I've been on this journey.
I've never heard of it.
And in learning about how to balance my hormones, I also really started focusing on nutrition, not just for health, but also to make sure that my hormones, my body, it had everything that it needed to help me have the best periods, the best menstruation. And I don't mean like, I want to be the winner at menstruation. I mean, I want to not.
But she does, though. Come on. We all know she wants to be the winner at menstruation.
Cramps. I want to not have my mood swings go so crazy. And so I just really went on this journey. And in doing that, I kept reading that ginger was really powerful for inflammation in your body. It helps with cramping. It's good for nausea. And so I have gotten in the habit over the last few months of buying just one of those giant pieces of ginger at the store. And I got to tell you, for years, I would walk by that bin and be like, who on earth could ever use this much ginger? Me. I can. So I keep it on the counter so that I think anything in life that you want to develop as a habit, you have to see it. And I like things to be neat and organized, but when I'm trying to bring something in as a routine, I will put it right where I can't miss it. So I put this big ginger root on the counter, and then every day I tear off a piece, I peel it, I cut it into big chunks, I boil water, put the ginger and the water in a mug, let it steep for 10 minutes, and then I sip on the tea. And number one, I love the flavor. But number two, I just cannot recommend it enough I just love it. And before we start this conversation, I was making this and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to share it because I bet there's someone who is struggling with inflammation or is struggling with, they're having cramps or maybe they're having nausea around their time of the month. And y'all, if you haven't done it yet, try ginger. And yes, you can buy ginger tea and there's ginger powder, but whenever possible, if you can have the actual food in its form, it's better for you than taking a supplement. So that is
Don't tell Heidi Powell that eating real food is better than supplements. She's going to have a breakdown.
small push for you to incorporate fresh ginger into your life. And now let's have a podcast. On Sunday, I did the most, it's like the craziest thing I've ever done. I have climbed mountains. I've run races. I've done adventure half marathons on the coast.
We've heard this in the intro. I read it in the description, and now she's going to repeat it again, just FYI.
In Ireland, I have climbed the equivalent of Everest. I've done crazy challenges, but I did something this weekend that I did not believe was possible. And I don't mean that I did something I didn't think was possible for me. I mean, I did something on Sunday that I did not know was possible for humans. And that sounds obnoxious and douchey, but
because it is. Because it is.
But also,
we're going to keep going.
For real. I ran a full marathon on Sunday without training to run a marathon.
Now that right there is misleading information because, as we've discussed, she's ran marathons in the past. She's run miles and miles and miles of running before for years, on and off. You know, maybe she didn't train specifically for this one, but it's misleading to say that she had no training whatsoever. Okay, so if you've never run before in your life, don't get the idea that, oh, Rachel Hollis ran with no training ever, so therefore I can do the same. Please don't do that. I'm sure no one here will do that, but she'll talk about it a little bit. But if you only listened to the first 7 minutes of this podcast, you would have gotten the wrong impression about this story. And she's like, oh, it's humanly impossible. It's not that impossible because you took a break from your training and then decide, okay, I'm going to run a marathon. She's run before.
If we had some like cool editing or some, this would be the time for like some kind of sound effect, an explosion perhaps. Before I get into what I did and how I did it and how I'm still alive, let's start at the beginning of my running journey. And I just want to set my intention with you right now. My goal in this episode is that at the end of it, you are going to go sign up for a race. I don't care if it's a full marathon. I don't care if it's a 5K. I don't care if you walk it. I don't care if it's a turkey trot. I just vehemently believe in the power of running and training and doing a race to elevate your mood, to lift your spirit, to make you believe in yourself, to push yourself into hard things, to push yourself outside.
Thank you, Franny Pan. Woo, woo, woo. I appreciate that so much. And it's even €1. That's even cooler. Thank you.
Comfort zone. And most especially if you are a mom. I don't know anything in my life other than childbirth that makes me prouder than my marathon. And even with childbirth, there is this sort of preconceived notion that your body knows how, like, oh, well, your body knows how, like you can, not that it's not hard, not that it's not impossible for some people, but that's a more, I'm using air quotes, natural thing. Whereas a marathon, you actually have to.
So if you have to have a C-section, should you not be proud of your body for giving birth? It's a lot of, I know she's just speaking from her own experience, but it just seems like you're proud of running a marathon. We got it. You could have summed that up in one Instagram post and we could have all moved on with our lives. Yet we're 9 minutes in and we have to hear about how proud she is to have run a marathon, even prouder than giving birth to her children. Okay, we get it. We get how proud you are. Cool.
Train, you have to work, like all of it. So that's my intent. I want you to know by the end of this, I want you to be like, you know what? Hell yeah, let's go. I'm going to do it. So just so you know, so at the end, you're not like, oh, how did she bamboozle me into all of a sudden I signed up for a half marathon, whatever. That's my goal. I grew up, I was not athletic. I was the president of the drama club I did theater. Sports weren't really my thing. I sort of wish that I had had parents who were into sports and would have encouraged me in that way because I think it's so good for kids, but it just wasn't my jam. And
it's always her parents' fault for everything.
Definitely grew up, and you would have heard me say a million times in my life, I am not a runner. I hate running. I'm not a runner. I don't run, blah, blah, blah. And like a lot of people, there were many times in my early adult life where I would try and get in shape. Like it would be a new year and I'd try and get in shape. And the way I'd try and get in shape was like to go on a jog, but I didn't know what I was doing and I hated it. And it just wasn't my jam, basically, is what we're getting at here. And I never in my life anticipated that I would be a long distance runner. I actually can't really believe that I run long distance now. But what happened was I was pregnant with my third son, and I was very pregnant. I was like 7 months pregnant, and it was my third baby, and I was uncomfortable, and I didn't really have, I didn't have any healthy approach to pregnancy. I really didn't understand my own health at the time. So when I got pregnant, I know maybe this sounds so stupid if you're listening to this now in 2022, but I didn't know that I could work out. I didn't know that I could, that I should, do yoga or take walks or do anything to like have healthy pregnancy. I really didn't. And so I didn't do anything during any of my pregnancies. And when I was 7 months pregnant with Ford, my third son, my ex-husband, he was my husband at the time, he decided to run a half marathon with one of the guys in his office. And it was so cool. And he like got in amazing shape, and he started running, and they just did the cool. And I was like super jealous. Number one, I felt like the Goodyear blimp. I felt so like awkward and weird, and my body was like, I had this big belly, and then I was watching him get to go do this cool thing, and he was doing something he didn't think he could do, and I just wanted that. And the competitive nature in me was like, okay, if he can run a half marathon, I can run a half marathon. So after I had Ford, and I, spent a few months recuperating, kind of like getting myself back together mentally and emotionally, and, starting to get a little bit of sleep again, I reached out to the guy that he ran the half marathon with, because he was a marathon runner and he had run for like 25 years. And so I was like, hey, can you tell me how to train for a race? And he was like, yep. So he put together a full schedule for me to run.
So basically, this whole section, she was pregnant, she couldn't run, she was jealous of Dave for being able to run a half marathon while she was pregnant, and I guess she's kind of insinuating that she wanted him to wait for her, possibly, but also, hold on.
But also,
she has said before in the past that she's not waiting for him, because when they did the Mount Everest climb thing, the equivalent of Mount Everest climb, Dave wanted to stop, and Rachel said, well, I'm leaving you behind. If you want to stop, I'm going forward. And so he had to push through, and he was like, oh, it was a great lesson that Rachel taught me, that I need to push through my comfort zone. He even got his 2 tattoos that were like stronger and better or something to push him through, because Rachel was not going to wait for him. So I guess that started because she is very competitive. That's very clear. Nothing wrong with being competitive, but I don't think it's like, shouldn't you kind of want to support your husband if he wants to do something and you can't because you're pregnant? I mean, I don't think you should maybe blame him for wanting to run a half marathon, but it seems like she took it very personally and was like, oh, he's doing something, I'm going to do it 10 times better. I think that's kind of why she's doing this marathon thing, because Dave's had a passion for running at some point and tried to do a triathlon, couldn't do it or didn't finish it because he screwed up the swim. So now she's proving once again that she's better than Dave. It's like, okay, the bar's pretty low there, but all right.
The Disneyland half marathon, which happens, or this was back in the day, maybe it's still the same, I'm not sure, but they used to do it every Labor Day weekend in Anaheim. And just as a side note, having run races all around the world, I will die on this hill. There is no better race to run on this earth, at least not that I have found so far, than a Disney run. Nobody does it better. Nobody can even touch the hem of the garment of Run Disney. They are, in fact, it's almost like dangerous to have that be your first race, because it's so well done that you think all races will have water stations at every mile. You think all races will have all the bathrooms. You think all races will have like Darth Vader and Mickey Mouse cheering for you while you run. I am not making that up. Run Disney is, I have been talking about them for years. I've never gotten anything from them. This is not an ad. There's no better way to get into.
She got something from Disney. She got a whole career started because of Disney and their funding of her marriage. Maybe not in a sponsorship way, but she definitely got a big leg up from Disney company. Let's not forget.
Than to do a Disney race. And they're not inexpensive. No race is. Honestly, no run is inexpensive. They usually are like $250 or something like that. And Disney's probably a bit more. But as someone who has produced lots of events, I can tell you
5Ks, at least the ones I've done, are like $35. I don't know what $200 races are going on in Austin, Texas, but yeah, marathons are more, I think. I wouldn't know. I never ran one. But 5Ks, because she's saying like, oh, race, do any race that you can. Turkey trot, those are like $40 max from my experience. Let me know if I'm wrong, but she's making it seem like Disney is like hundreds and hundreds of dollars to do anything that they do, obviously, because they're Disney World or Disneyland. And I think 200 is too much for what she's saying. Like, oh, most races are 200. Not from my experience, but let me know.
That the reason they're expensive is because it is hella expensive to close down 13 miles or 26 miles of roads and get the police involved. And like, it's so expensive to put on a run. So just FYI, they're expensive for a reason. All of that to say, he puts together this schedule for me to do this race, and I start doing it. And when I started that, I could not run half a mile. I literally could not run half a mile without feeling like I was going to pass out. I was exhausted, or I was going to die, or I was going to pee my pants. Like the amount of times I've peed my pants running. I mean, get in line. The list is so long. You just get it.
What made you think I want to be relatable? I pee my pants, guys. Every day I pee my pants. I just pee my pants constantly. Pee my pants. Okay, sorry.
You're going to pee your pants a little bit if you've pushed a baby out. It's fine.
God. All right, BetterHelp ad.
How often do you kind of?
In her little voice. Her ad voice.
This month, BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you to take you. It's my podcast listeners get 10% off their first month.
They get 10% off texting therapy.
I start training for this race
/rise.
That's BetterHelp.com/rise.
Get a life. Get a life.
I start training for this race, and somewhere along the way, he was really smart, and he was like, you need to run a race before you get to your actual half. And so he signed us up, Dave and I, because Dave was going to do it with me. He signed us up for a 5K. Now, the fucking beauty, and I'm going to cuss because this is a passionate subject for me. The beauty of running as an analogy for life, I don't know anything better. First of all, it does not matter where you are starting at. I cannot stress this to you enough. If you get to a race, I don't care if it's a 5K and I don't care if it's a full marathon, you are going to see people on that course that are in wheelchairs, that are 85 years old, that are...
Is that true? Are people really signing up for marathons that are in wheelchairs, Rachel, or you just wanted to include that to make it seem like you're being all-inclusive? Why would someone spend $250? Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know. Maybe that's insensitive of me to think that. I've never seen someone in a wheelchair run a marathon before. That's just my thoughts. Is that stupid of me? Am I going to have to unfollow myself for that one?
Unfollow me.
I just think she put that in there just to be like, oh, see, I'm not being ableist. I'm not being ableist. There's people in wheelchairs there. I've never seen it.
Have lost a limb in war, that are blind, that are you are going to be so inspired. You're going to see people who are on, a massive weight loss journey, and you're you can't even, the inspiration in human beings on race day. I just don't know a community of people that are more aligned with whoever you are, whatever you're about, you are welcome here. We're all struggling. We're all winded. We're all doing something we're not sure if we can. It's just...
You're welcome here as long as you pay $200. That's pretty much how every establishment works. If you pay the money, you're welcome.
Damn, it is so inspiring. So he's like, you should run a 5K. And I'm like, okay, we signed up for this 5K. And I remember it was in June because Labor Day was the actual race. And I'm thinking 5K, that's 3 point something miles. Okay, I could do this. Me thinking I am about...
Okay, this is good to know. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's good to see that there's differences in the comments, because some people are saying, yes, totally, I've seen them before. Some people have said they have not seen them. Yeah, I don't know. Thank you for the responses. That's helpful to me. As I was saying it, I was like, oh my God, am I saying something that's totally insensitive? And probably still is either way. But in my experience, at any race I've been to, there's been people being pushed, but I don't think that they feel like, oh, I've ran this marathon. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm going to just shut up now. Okay.
To die on this course doing a 5K. That's what I need you to hear me say. When I started running, everything I did felt scary, and everything I did felt so hard. And I remember that 5K being like, do not embarrass yourself in front of this guy. Because it was me and Dave and his coworker. And I was like, do not embarrass yourself. This guy put this whole plan together for you. And you thought you could come out here and you're about to like pee your pants or poop your pants or throw up on this course. You better finish this race. And I remember crossing the finish line of that 5K and being so proud of myself. And I want you to know that like the freaking joy of crossing a finish line of your first 5K, your first 10K, your first half, your first full, it doesn't matter what the distance is. When you cross a finish line and you have run more mileage than you knew you could do, the feeling of it, it's euphoric. So we run that 5K. I'm like, okay, I ran a 5K, I didn't die. Now it's time to run this half marathon. And it's so exciting. I mean, those of you who are runners, I just feel like you are going to get this. You're going to be smiling as I describe this. Those of you who have never run before, like the running community is so welcoming. There's this whole thing, the day before you go to something called an expo, which is like, it's where you pick up your packet. It's where you get like your bib, which is the piece of paper that has the number. If you've seen that when people are running, like the numbers that they wear on their chest. So they know which runner's which. And there's something in there that like tracks your time and when you cross the miles. And you go to your expo to pick up the packet, but then like there's like these booths and there's different, tank tops and fanny packs and chiropractors and basically anything that has to do with health. And
I guess she throws in chiropractors as if that's not a controversial, well, I mean, to me in my life, it's controversial whether it is real or not, but there's fanny packs and water bottles and chiropractors. It's like, I always just wonder if she just throws things in there because she's going to be featuring them soon. So she just like adds it as a little spice, like, oh, chiropractor, because I'm going to start bringing on kind of like showing how chiropractic work has changed my life. Maybe not, but I always wonder about her.
Walk around and you're so excited. Everyone's excited and people come from different parts of the world. And it's just this incredible sense of community. And the night before, you're like, yay, I get to eat pasta, I get to carb load. And then the next day, you're so nervous and you lay out all your stuff and you get so excited. And then you have to be there so early in the morning and you're like sick to your stomach, like, oh Lord, am I going to miss it? It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. You already feel like you're late. And then you have to pee like 12 times and, you got to wait in line for a porta potty. It's just, and there's music and lights and oh, bless it. It's so special. And the first time that I ran that half, it was Run Disney. And I remember they played the song over and over at the starting line because it's hard to explain if you've never gone to a race, but imagine that there's like 30,000 people or 100,000 people and you can't obviously all start running at the same time. So you're in corrals based on how fast you run. So each time a new corral would move to the starting line, they'd restart the song, A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes. A dream is a wish your heart makes. You guys know that one? And
no.
I cried my eyeball.
I never heard that song before. Thank you, Rachel. She's going to be a singer, everybody. Also, just so you know, singer-songwriter. That's her future career. She's already manifested it to happen. She's proclaimed it, therefore it will happen because she is deserving of all the things she wishes for in her life.
Every single time they started, every time I'd get closer and closer to that start line and they'd replay that song, I was like, this is a dream that my heart made. This moment. And you start the run, and what's incredible about Run Disney is that you are literally running through Disneyland. I've never done it at the other properties, but you're...
Hold on, we have to pause. Thank you, Laura. Laura has bought a shirt. Woo, woo, woo. Hold on. Nope. That was what I wanted. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate it. Always choose sadness. Always and forever. A dream is a wish your heart makes, but choose sadness is a phrase that I made. Okay, back to the show.
Literally running through Disneyland. You're running through California Adventure. You run, if you're familiar with California, you run from the parks to Anaheim Stadium, which is so sick. You run through the stadium and then you come back. But while you're running through the park, every single ride is on and going. There's nobody there because it's very early in the morning. Every ride's going. There's floats. Literally every character. Do you want to Stitch? Do you want to take a picture with Darth Vader? Do you want to take a picture with Mickey and Minnie? Do you want, like, it doesn't matter who you love. They are cheering for you while you run this race.
She really makes it seem like, oh man, it's like so shocking that this is here and available to people with money. It's like, yeah, pretty much if you have money, you can do all these amazing things with it. That's what we're trying to say. It's like, yes, life is amazing when you got money to spend. She makes it seem like, God, you guys just don't understand. This is an amazing thing. It's like, yeah, that's why it costs $500 to join. It's not that surprising. Like, yes, we know. Money can buy you good things. Money can buy you amazing experiences. Not all of your listeners have the money to be able to go to this shit.
So magical, but also, and this is the key, distracting. When you decide to run a race, at the end of this episode, when you're like, Rach, I am doing this, really, really important to think about what you are going to look at. And that sounds silly until you're in it. Now, I had one of my old coworkers decided to run a marathon a couple of years ago, a few years back. And I remember that she signed up for the marathon, unless I'm delusional, she signed up for a marathon in a place called Marathon, Texas. Lord, I hope I don't.
You're definitely delusional, but maybe not about this story. We don't know.
Making it up. But basically, I remember her coming back and being like, it was so hard because she was just running on a road in the desert. Like, there was nothing to look at. It gets so monotonous. So think through, that's why Disney's great, is there's just, you're constantly distracted from the pain because it's hard. And that really helps when you're like, I can't do it. And then all of a sudden Cinderella's like, go. You're like, okay. So that was my first half. It was awesome. And it kicked off this hobby of mine. So ever since then, I have been running consistently. I definitely have had different seasons of my life where I've gotten really into a different kind of workout, or I've, been into strength training or done different stuff where running isn't as popular for me, but I have consistently run since that day. And since that first half marathon, I've had many times over the years where I will just do another half. I've probably done 15 half marathons since then. And
okay, so she's done 15 half marathons since then, which then was like, what, 2015, 2014, whatever year that we saw that photo a while back. So she's done 15 half marathons in the last like 6 years or so. How is that not training? That counts as training, Rachel. That's training. You did not do the impossible, humanly impossible. You did what you're supposed to do. For the most part. Yeah, you should have trained before the race, but that's not, you've trained before. Your body has run long distances before. I don't know. She's trying to make it more than it actually is.
That forward is 9, so I've done 15 half marathons in 9 years. And then definitely at some point, I think most runners, if you have a good experience, you start to think, oh man, like, could I do a full marathon? Like, that's crazy, but like, could I do a full? And the reason that you think that is because you understand what it takes. So like, the beauty of running is that you are just stacking. You're stacking literally one step on top of another. That expression, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And what you learn is, okay, like today I ran 5 steps. Tomorrow, can I run 6? And the next day, can I run 7? And it's this beautiful experience where you're just adding on a little bit each time. And when you do it for a 5K, you're like, wait, could I do it for a half? And then could I do it for a full? So
yeah, we get the concept. Let's go. Quicken this up. It's not a marathon. Why is this episode a marathon? It should be a sprint. Let's sprint through this story, Rachel. God.
I'm going to run a full marathon. This was back when I lived in LA and I trained for 6 months. And training for a full marathon, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time, and there's a ton of buildup to get to the place where you're like, okay, I've got this. And it just so happened it was this freak thing where the first time I ran a marathon in LA in February, and it was a fluke, it was 92 degrees that day. So crazy. And I was already so freaking scared. And it's compounded by the fact that it is about to be so hot. And I'm like, okay, well, this is how I die. And it was also really interesting. I was thinking about this weekend.
I thought running was going backwards, taking negative steps in time. I'm so glad I listened to this episode to learn that running is actually propelling you forward in space, time. Cool.
In training for that marathon, originally I had talked my husband at the time, I had talked him into doing it with me. And somewhere.
Okay, this is a Dave put down warning, okay? This is this coming up in this section. Dave will be put down by Rachel. So if you don't like Dave slander,
Unfollow me.
I won't say it this time. Just kidding. Don't unfollow.
On the journey of training, he was like out. Like he didn't want to do it anymore. He, for whatever reasons, there were his reasons, he didn't want to do it anymore. And the closer it got to me running,
lazy ass. That's what she means to say, but she's saying, not saying.
The marathon, the more weird he got about me running the marathon. And I say this because I know this is something that many of you have encountered with partners, with...
Okay, let's go back for a second, but also let me preemptively say, remember just 20 minutes ago, not even, Rachel said, when I was 7 months pregnant, Dave ran a half marathon and it pissed me off and it bothered me so much so that I called his coworker to train me as soon as I was, gave birth and was feeling better. Then she wanted to run the half marathon. So isn't she doing the same exact tactic that he is now? He doesn't want to run it for whatever his own reasons. And he's jealous now. That's their relationship. How is that any different than her being jealous of him running? Now he's jealous of her running. This is what she's saying, at least.
He was like out. Like he didn't want to do it anymore. He, for whatever reasons, there were his reasons, he didn't want to do it anymore. And the closer it got to me running the marathon, the more weird he got about me running the marathon. And I say this because I know this is something that many of you have encountered with partners, with spouses, with parents, with siblings, whatever, that when you do something that is so different than what the people around you can understand, they start to, I don't think it's conscious. Sometimes it's conscious, but in this instance, I don't think he was conscious of it, but I do think that he started to unintentionally try to sabotage the experience. And people get scared.
But didn't she do exactly the same thing? Wasn't she pissed off that he was running the half marathon, so she wasn't excited about it because she was jealous? So how is this any different? He probably felt like, well, if you're going to be a mean person about it, then I'm going to be too. I mean, I don't think that's healthy in any way, but if that's the relationship that they've developed, like, I don't think it's that crazy.
They don't like change. And I can look back over many experiences in our marriage where anytime I sort of pushed further or did something that was outside the norm or did something that he wasn't doing, it made him very uncomfortable. And that's not me talking crap on him. That's more me saying it so that you can recognize if it shows up in your life. Because
sure it is, Rachel. Sure it is.
But also,
he sucks.
I did not have the self-awareness to have taken ownership of that experience for myself and to have put a boundary up, and I should have. I remember the day before the marathon, the expo for the LA Marathon is magnificent. Like, it's huge. It's at the LA Convention Center, and it's a really big deal. And one of the things that I remember was that LA, I don't know if they still do it, but in that race, they had a wall that had the name of every single person who was running the race. And I wanted to pick up my packet. I wanted to walk around the expo and I wanted to see my name on the wall. And I had told him, hey, I want to take the kids to go to the expo tomorrow. Like, this is a huge deal. I think it's really special that these little boys are going to see that their mom's running a marathon. I really would love to take the kids. And he was like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Like, I'll go with you. We'll take the kids. And that day, everything about that from the time we left the house was just an emotional mindfuck. He was pissed that the traffic was bad. He was pissed that it took so long to park. When we got in, he was just like, this is chaos. This is crazy. Everything was bad and wrong. And he kept complaining to me about how hard all of it was. And my thing was in my brain, I'm like, why are you even here? Like, I would have taken the kids, but of course I didn't say that. I would have taken them by myself. And he just was so pissed off about the whole experience, which now in hindsight, I'm like, okay, his energy and his vibe had nothing to do with traffic or people or whatever. It had
to do with him being too tall. We all know that scientifically, being over 6 feet tall, it's almost impossible for them to use their legs to propel them forward in a faster than walking motion. I learned that in Girl Wash Your Face and the best-selling book, Built Through Courage. I'm just kidding. But I don't know. This whole thing just sounds like, okay, like Dave, you were mad at Dave for running while you were pregnant. Then the time comes for you to run and he gets pissed off or whatever and moody. And I'm sure he was being a jerk. I'm not saying that he wasn't. But that just seems like, yeah, that's the relationship you two have developed. You probably need to go to counseling to work on why you're competing with each other and get so jealous of each other all the time. And why, instead of just loving each other and growing together, you're competing constantly. But that's where the brand of, we have an exceptional marriage. We don't have a boring regular marriage like you underlings. We have the best marriage ever. And whatever, let me find that. I think I still have that pulled up. Let's look at this just for a second. Stand by. That Instagram post where she is ironically talking about running with her boo thing, formerly known as boo thing. This is them running together, and she's like, we're better than everyone else. We fight, we have problems, but we're better. We've overcome more than the average couple. It's like, okay, great. But then you got divorced. Like, we're supposed to be surprised about that? Come on. Give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Hollis mindset.
Made him feel for me to be doing something that he wasn't doing. But I didn't have that ability to process or see that at the time. So I just kept feeling worse and worse and more stressed about it. And eventually I was like, I got my packet and I was like, let's just go. Let's just go. It was so stressful to have him.
And that's also a toxic trait, to be like, okay, let's just go. Let's just go, whatever, and just, end the thing that you want to do to make him feel guilty for being upset about the parking and whatever. That's not a mature way to handle the situation either. She'd be like, okay, look, I know you're upset. Obviously, there's something going on. Let's talk about it later, but this is really important that the kids, because she said that it was for the kids to see their mom run a race, whatever. Let's put that aside for a moment. Let's go do what we have to do. We'll talk about this later. That's, to me, what an emotionally mature relationship would have, especially someone selling marriage conferences to other people about how to model their relationship after them. That, to me, would be a more healthy way to deal with it, as opposed to, fine, let's just go. Meh.
So pissed off that I was like, let's just leave. And I got my packet and we left. I didn't walk around the expo. I never saw my name on the wall. I didn't do any of it. And I was so upset for the rest of the day. And I remember I cried myself to sleep the night before my first marathon when you're supposed to be sleeping. I was so upset and I was so sad that
She leaves that part out of the story. The last time she told her marathon, like her running her first marathon story and how she overcame all these amazing triumphs. She leaves that part out about the crying to herself to sleep because of Dave. She just, that it wasn't on brand at the time. It's very much on brand now. But back then it was like, that's not important information.
Guys, I've done a lot of therapy since. But the codependence of this, of oh no, he was upset he had to go to this with me. This is, again, I'm telling you my experience. He will have his own experience of that moment. But I'm telling you this because I wish I could go back in time and I've put up personal boundaries for myself in doing this really big thing. Because if you're going to take on a challenge like this, it is so easy to let people talk you out of it. Question mark. That's why into your hormone levels and options for next.
Oh, she's talking about hormone levels. Shocking that she also is bringing that up in her organic content too. Wow, who would have thought?
Traditional when you go to modernfertility.com/RISE.
Interesting. There'll be a part about fertility in this, just FYI, coming up fairly shortly, and also a part about her miscarriage. So I'm going to give a warning. She doesn't give a warning in this podcast about that she's going to be discussing that a little bit in this. So FYI, it's coming up in the next little bit, I believe.
Who love you most, even coming from a place of love, will speak into the exact fear that you have. And they'll encourage you in the fear, unintentionally sabotaging you even doing it. But in that instance, it didn't sabotage me. It didn't keep me from doing it, but I definitely gave my power away. And I definitely gave away what could have been a really beautiful moment in this weekend for me because I let someone else control the experience. So I just want to say that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even have to be about running. But I think anytime we're doing something that steps outside of what other people around us understand, we have to be on the lookout. It doesn't mean that you get angry. Like if I could go back in time, I wouldn't have gotten pissed. I wouldn't have fought with him. From a place of love, I would have been like, oh my gosh, no, you stay home. I'm going to take the kids because this is an experience that I want to have with them. And it would have been that easy. So that was the experience. I do the full marathon. It's 92 degrees. It feels absolutely impossible. It was the hardest thing physically that I've ever done. Yeah. I've done stuff since then, but nothing was as hard as that day. And my only goal was I did not want to walk. I was terrified of walking. I was terrified of everything, but I was terrified of walking because oftentimes if your muscles are like really overused and you stop, like if you walk, they can seize up. And I'd had this.
That's bullshit. The fact that she doesn't want to walk is because she doesn't want to be considered someone who has to walk. She walked in the one that she just did, so, because she had to, because she hadn't trained. But she doesn't want to, I think she doesn't want to walk because that would make her seem weak. Not that her legs can seize up, come on. She doesn't want to be held accountable that she has those feelings of, I need to be the best at everything.
In some of my training runs, and I'd seen this happen to other people and they just can't keep going. So I was terrified. So I was like, I don't care how slow I'm running, I will not walk. So I did the LA Marathon. Crossing the finish line of that race, I have used that memory 10,000 times since then. And it's why I feel like everybody, but especially moms, should experience it, because I just don't think we have typically a lot of experiences where we did that. Like nobody can run a race for you. You have to do, it doesn't matter if you have a crowd of 50 people around you, you still have to be the one that puts one foot in front of the other to do the thing. And it's just so powerful. And it was an incredible experience and I did it. I was like, I am never doing that again. Like I had zero desire to ever run a marathon again because I was like, no, thank you. I did it. I checked that box. I definitely I've done lots of half since then. I still run, but just no desire. Then at the end of last year, which if you haven't listened, I did a podcast about this, but
Here comes the miscarriage stuff, just FYI, in case you want to click off for a little bit.
Unexpectedly got pregnant, and it was a really scary experience just because it was totally unplanned, and I have 4 kids and I wasn't anticipating having more, and went through all the emotions and all the fear and all the holy shit, and then got really excited about it because I thought, well, this is amazing. Like I never thought I'd have a baby again, and I'm just gonna embrace this, and went for a routine ultrasound, and at just about 4 months found out that the baby's heartbeat had stopped and it had stopped growing. And it was really brutal, guys. It was just emotionally, it was horrible, but physically it was really so I had gone through all these months of pregnancy and then had about a month of miscarrying. I never knew that. I never knew that when you miscarry, there's a whole episode, but basically I had to take medicine that made me miscarry.
Again, I'm so torn on this topic. I didn't talk about the episode where she goes into graphic detail about this whole thing. On the one hand, I think it's good for women to talk about things like this because it is kind of not talked about. And I feel like a lot of women go through this. And it's one of those silent things that I think women deal with alone or deal with very, very privately. And I think that could lead to some shame because no one is talking about it. So in one sense, I'm like, okay, she has every right to talk about anything she wants to talk about. I'm never going to shame her for talking about okay, I'm never going to shame her for talking about things in general. I think she has every right to share every part of her life, just as much of I have a right to talk about why I don't think the advice is good or wrong or bad or whatever. On the other hand, I just think like when you share every single aspect of your life, what do you have left? And then how do you not expect people to feel like they know you and then ask you questions about yourself? And then you're like, oh, well, you don't know the real me. How can you judge me? You don't know me. It's like, well, you shared literally graphic details about your miscarriage and about, what pills you were on and what made you miscarry. It's just like, I'm torn. I don't know how that really benefits anyone else other than just like kind of that, like I said, the voyeuristic mentality, like the morbid curiosity of people. But is that really what you're trying to accomplish, or are you trying to help people? Because I don't know if this is helpful the way that she talked about it. But again, I think it's her right to talk about it. If it's her life, her story, her platform, who am I to say what she can and cannot talk about? But I don't know. I don't really understand it. And she's basically saying like, well, she had this miscarriage happen, and then she felt physically like she wasn't going to be able to run after that. So it's even more of a triumph for her that she's accomplished this goal, I guess. But I don't know. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. And I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's like a personal thing as to why I feel uncomfortable about it. I don't know. But, we'll just go on. We'll continue. I'll see what the comments say, and we can talk about it after that.
You bleed and bleed and bleed for weeks and weeks.
Sorry.
And I just felt like my body had been through the ringer. And when I started to come out of the hormonal fog of that, I really wanted to run. Running is like therapy for me. It's prayer, it's church, it's meditation.
Thank you, Raina.
It's joyful. And it didn't start out that way, but that's what it is for me and has been for me for a long time. So I started just like I did at the beginning of my running journey. I started with half a mile and then a mile and then a mile and a half, and just slowly built my way back up. And I remember my incredible boyfriend was like, he was so caring and wonderful. He was just like, don't push yourself, please, like, just be gentle with your body. And you've been through so much. And it was so sweet. But what he didn't understand was that I needed to push a little bit. I needed to be reminded that I was still here and that this body was still very capable and still very strong. And it was a really beautiful time to get back in. And in that process, I made the decision that I wanted to run another marathon. I thought it would be awesome to train. It would be an incredible challenge, and it would be a celebration of what my body can do. And so I started to run a couple of times a week. And when I say a couple times a week, I mean, at first it was like 3 miles a couple times a week. And I was up to,
I guess like the part, okay, so at the end she says like, well, my boyfriend, he said you should just take it easy. And she said, no, I need to push it because I need to prove what my body can do. It's like, yeah, that might work for you, but I don't think every woman needs to prove that their body can run after going through such a traumatic experience. Like if they just want to chill for the next 2 years after that, I mean, that should be their own choice and their own right, and not feel guilt like, oh, well, if you miscarry, then you should prove to yourself that your body can run a marathon. It's like very unhealthy to me mentality. But I see some people said that, her story helped them. I'm glad. I really am. I'm glad that it helped you. And I think, more women probably will continue to talk about things like this. And I think that's a good thing overall. But I can also see how it could turn people off or be shocking, or if you were listening to her talk about a marathon and all of a sudden now you're listening to her explain like she was bleeding profusely. It's just like that could be triggering for a lot of people and not necessarily helpful in that moment. So yeah, like I said, I'm torn about it. I don't really have a strong opinion either way, but that's just my natural feeling.
I would do 4 miles on one day, and then my long run would be 6 miles on the weekend. So it's a lot. It might sound like a lot if you're not a runner, but if you're training for a race for real, it's not a very intense schedule. And I was in that, and I was looking for a marathon to run. And I thought, oh, it'd be cool to like go to another country or like do something different or whatever. And I just kept looking. I was doing a lot of research and I was kind of asking God and requesting of the universe, like, I really want to run a race. Like, I really want to do this marathon, let me know. Trying to like see where I should go, and kind of nothing was working out timing wise. And then
she always talks about that. She always says like, well, I asked the universe, to show me what to do. And then I was waiting and the timing wasn't working out. It's like, isn't that the whole point that she's made before, is that the timing needs to be on God's time. It needs to be on the universe's time. You can't control the timing. If you don't find money right away, well, you cared too much about when it was coming. But when it comes to her, it's like, oh no, well, I had to put the power in my own hands. It's like she doesn't understand manifesting. I don't think manifesting is real to begin with. But the way she explains it and then the way she says that it actually works in her life is like two different things. She's like, you can't manifest money and then wait for it to come. But that's what she's doing here. She was like, well, I asked the universe to tell me when to do a marathon, but the timing wasn't working out. So it's like, okay.
Last Friday, I was going to yoga and I was really excited. I love my yoga class, and it's something I couldn't do while I was pregnant because I do hot yoga. And so I've been really enjoying being able to do yoga a couple times a week. And I was so pumped to go on Friday, and I got all my work done and like got my stuff together and got in the car. And it was just like a weird day. It was a holiday weekend and traffic was really weird. And about halfway there, I was like, I feel like I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss class. Cause if you're not there at the beginning, you're not getting in. And I was talking to my boyfriend on the phone. I'm like, man, I feel like I'm going to miss yoga. He's like, no, you're not. You're going to get there. Don't worry. You'll get there. Like, you've been so looking forward to this. And then I'm like, no, I think, because it just was taking forever. I'm like, I think I'm gonna miss class. And I am very laid back. Like, I really live my life. Like, if I don't get a flight, I don't get a flight. In fact, there was only this is hilarious, because if any of you had seen me in the Miami airport a couple weeks ago, you would have been like, that bitch is not okay with missing a flight, because I'm
so laid back. Like, I don't care if I get a flight. But also I was, hold on.
But also,
I was running through the Miami airport to make sure I got my flight.
Okay. I have never come so close to missing a flight in my life, and I usually will just like let it be, because I'm like, all right, if I didn't get it, I'll get the next one. But I have my kids full time, so I'm single parenting for the win, and I had promised my oldest son that he could have a friend spend.
She had to make sure you knew that too, that Dave's no longer parenting right now. She just wants to make sure you know she's single parenting for the win. God, I feel like this, just because they're divorced, didn't change much. They're still fighting, competing constantly about who's better in the relationship or lack of relationship.
And I was like, I was going to make dinner for them, and I was going to do this whole thing. And I had only gone out of town for one night. I had to go out of town for work. And I got to the airport. It just was crazy traffic. It was this whole thing. And I was like, I cannot miss this flight. I promised him. And I take my promises very seriously to the kids. And I sprinted through the Miami airport. That's neither here nor there. But typically I'm just very chill. Like, I feel like if I don't get there, I'm like McConaughey. Like, I'm just like, all right, I wasn't supposed to go to yoga. So I literally said to my boyfriend, he's like,
okay, so that convoluted story, which has jumped over the place 25 times, she said, I am the most laid-back person you've ever met, except the one time recently, which I was running through the Miami airport to catch a flight because my son, I'm a single parent, single parents are the best, my son had his friend over, and I couldn't disappoint my son's friend from coming over, so I had to sprint through the airport. So in that case, I wasn't laid back. Anyways, so I am laid back, though. I'm just like Matthew McConaughey. Oh my God, that was a lot to understand right there.
You're going to make it. And I said, you know what? If I don't, it's because the guardian angels or the spirit guides wanted me to do something else today. That honestly, I'm like, I was meant to do something else. I wasn't meant to go to yoga. So I drive over to yoga. I'm a few minutes late, can't get in. So I'm like, oh, I know what the spirit guides wanted me to do. They wanted me to go to Juice Land to get a smoothie. That's a local smoothie place. I was like, I need a percolator, which is like a smoothie with coffee in it.
At what point does spirit guides and your ancestors telling you things in your brain dip into mental illness? Dip into you hearing thoughts and voices in your head? We seem to accept it as a society when it's a rich woman, white woman, saying that they have voices in their head telling them what to do at all times. But if it's someone else, we're like, oh my God, put them in a hospital immediately. At what point do we start to say, That might be crossing the line. I'm sorry.
Unfollow me.
Delicious, in case you're wondering. So I'm like, I'm gonna go get a smoothie. And as I'm driving to get a smoothie, I see a big sign that says traffic on Sunday because of the marathon. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why I miss yoga. I'm supposed to run this marathon. Like, it was so clear to me. And I don't know. I mean, maybe you guys think it's cheesy, but I am in conversation with God and the universe and guardian angels all day long. All day long. I'm in prayer. I'm in conversation all day. And I really feel like I am guided.
She's in conversation with spirits all day long. Is she okay? Is she okay? This is a red flag to me. She does not seem okay to me. You know, there's thoughts in your head too. Those aren't from you anymore. These are external thoughts, external voices.
And I felt a knowing inside. I was just like, I am supposed to run that race. And I literally looked up where the expo was, because a lot of times races you can still sign up even if it's race weekend. I looked up where the expo was. I drove there. And in the parking lot of the expo, I texted my nanny and I said, is there any way that you could come in on Sunday? Because, like, who's going to be with my kids while I try and do this thing?
Nanny alert! At least she's saying that she has a nanny. That's good. Finally, some truth. Thank you.
God bless her. She was like, yep, I got you. And I signed up for the marathon at the race because I just kept thinking, hold on, let me back up. When I had the thought, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to run that race, I immediately was like, you're insane. There's no way. There is no way. And then there was this part of me that was like, but what if? What if I could do this? What if I could run this race? Like, what?
I have to take a second and thank Laura, whose spirit guides told her to buy Choose Sadness merch. That's what my spirit guides are telling me too. To buy this and only this forever. Buy 3,000 packs. That's what my spirit guide's telling me. Okay. Thank you.
It's possible. And then the thought was, when I ran the first marathon, I did something that I did not think was possible for my body. If I could run this race without training, I will do something that I didn't know was possible for anyone. Because I'm way healthier than I was when I ran my first marathon.
She's way healthier. Way healthier. How?
I don't know. I just had this instinct, and like, I probably watched too many documentaries about people like climbing mountains or doing crazy things. But I don't know if you've ever heard that David Goggins quote where he says, like, when you think that you are completely tapped, you're really only at 40%. And I was like, okay, well, I know I could run a half this weekend if I needed to. And if running a half would be 40%, then technically I probably could run a full. So I just did it. Because I thought, what's the worst that happens? The worst that happens is I sign up for this race, and then a few miles in, I'm like, okay, I can't do this. But I knew for sure, no matter what, I was going to end up running more miles than I would have if I hadn't signed up for the race. So I was like, what do I have to lose? I hadn't gotten to run a race in so long, and I wanted the feeling of like the runners and like hearing the cowbell. And I was like, freaking A, let's go. So I signed up for this thing, and every time over the next 24 or 48 hours, however long it was, every time I got scared, I was just like, nope. We're not even holding space for negativity. And because of that, I didn't tell anybody I was doing it. I told my boys, Noah's too young to understand, but I told my 3 boys that I was going to do it. And my nanny knew. I didn't tell my boyfriend I signed up. I didn't tell anybody. Because I was just like.
Thank you, Andar, for buying the Choose Sadness sticker. Woo! Okay, so she didn't tell anybody that she's running this marathon. Now, is that because she says she doesn't want any negativity? It seems a little odd that everyone in your life that you could potentially tell, except for your kids, would think that this is a bad thing. It's almost as if they're trying to help her, or that she doesn't actually have that many people to tell. That's mean, but that's kind of how it seems, just based on who she talks about. She talks about her boyfriend constantly, and she said he wouldn't have supported it. So maybe it was more like, I don't want to be told no, so I'm going to do it anyway, secretly.
I didn't want anybody else to weigh in, and I didn't want anyone else to worry, and I just wanted to do this thing. And I also didn't want the pressure of like, okay, well, if I bone out after like 10 miles, I don't want to feel like I'm disappointing anyone. I just want this to be something I do for me. Here are a few things lifestyle.
Here are a few things that you need.
mine limited time at your local Sleep Number store,
Sleep Number.
which we.com/rise. Sleep Number. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep.
We're almost at the end, everybody. Just FYI, we're almost there. We're almost through this marathon of a podcast.
I documented the whole thing, which we will put on YouTube because I just think it's wild and special and really cool. But
it's almost as wild as buying a shot at a bar for an old lady with wrinkles. So wild. Rachel just lives the most wild life ever.
A couple of things that I just wanted in telling that story that I wanted you guys to hear me say is, number one, I ran this second marathon without training. Until Sunday, the most miles I had run for a while was 6. 6 miles was the most I had run. I ran this marathon without training, and I ran it 2 minutes faster than the first time I did a marathon, and I trained for 6 months. That's freaking crazy.
So what's the lesson there? Don't train? You actually run faster if you don't train? Or is it just to show off how much better she is this time with her new boo thing than she was running while she was with Dave? I think that's what she's trying to say. Like, I am such a better person with my new boyfriend than I was ever with Dave, and therefore I run even faster without training. That's the vibe I'm getting.
I feel very confident in how I did this. And if you guys think that my woo-woo stuff is cheesy, this is cheese. This is nacho cheese. This is Velveeta cheese. This is some cheese, but it's real. For real, for real. I ran my first marathon terrified. The achiever in me was terrified of failure. I was terrified of people watching me fail. I was terrified of getting hurt. I was terrified of pooping my pants. Like, you name it. I was scared of everything. And going into this marathon, I just wanted to do a little experiment. I just wanted to see if there would be a difference running a race out of love instead of fear. Like, what if...
Excuse me. Guys, this race was run out of love. Love. Have you ever heard of love? Love is something that you feel for your family. Except your parents, you don't feel love for them because they buy you coats from Sears. Love means when your boyfriend wants you to buy champagne from the bottom of the ocean and you drink it because you texted each other a year ago. Okay, sorry, that was my little Rachel Hollis reading an ad read voice. But this marathon was ran with love, and my old running marathons were with hatred seething from my bones at Dave, so I don't run as fast when that's the case.
I just had fun. What if my goal was to give as much love to the people around me as I possibly could? What if this race was a celebration of love for my body? What if I refused to let fear into the equation? Y'all, I did not walk this race until mile 18. And at that point, I would walk for a minute and then run, walk for a minute and then run. I walked a little bit of every mile past mile 18. And frankly, I did that because Austin Marathon is all hills. I had no idea. This also was powerful. Ignorance is bliss. Because if I had looked at the course map, if I had understood how many hills were in this marathon, I never would have done it. So I had the best time. I had so much fun. I dedicated every single mile of my race to a different person that I love. And
Okay, now this part, she's dedicating each mile to like a person that she loves, whatever. Okay. She doesn't just think about this. She's literally recording across the whole thing. Do you think this is real? I think no, because you're running a freaking marathon. How are you doing these whole soliloquy monologues to all your friends?
When I finished the mile that was for them, I would send them a voice note on my phone and just say, hey, I'm doing this crazy thing. You were mile 6, you were mile 3, you were mile 19. And not only am I sending you good vibes and loving you so much, but I also want you to know that I meditated on gratitude for you during this mile. And I meditated on the characteristic about you that I most admire. And it just ended up being this incredible experience. And
this is just another way to say I have 26 friends that I care about and love me deeply back, because I don't think I don't have 26 people I can call, be like, hey, to my fiance, hey, this smile, okay, I'll call you back later. And that would be it. And that would be the end of my, she's not only running this marathon, recording her, doing video, explaining how she's feeling, doesn't have to run until mile 18. She also can send 26 voice memos in which she explains how she's meditated on being on gratitude for that person and all their best qualities. Wow, she is like above and beyond everyone else. I cannot believe that she has this level of dedication in which she can run and also meditate and also send voice memos to all of her closest 26 friends. Geez, I just want to go jump off the bridge because I will never be as cool and as good as her.
So I paid extra when I signed up so that they'll take pictures of you when you're running, like the race people do. And then they send you like, hey, here's a link with all your pictures. With the exception of the finish line, because I'm bawling in those pictures, every single other picture, 26.2 miles, I am smiling. I was like, what is the psychology of every time I felt like I was struggling, I would make myself smile. I would make myself laugh. I would cheer on another runner. I would like shout out to the people on the sidelines and thank them for being there. Like, am I sore? Yes.
And she shouted out to people on the sidelines, thanking them for being there. This woman did not stop talking the whole marathon. Good for her. This seems real.
But I was way more sore after I ran the first race. And I believe that's because fear makes you tense everything in your body. So I literally ran my first marathon super tense and terrified. And this time I literally was like dancing. I was having fun. I just did something I didn't think was possible. And I remember years ago talking to a therapist about writing, because I would sit down to write books and I would be so hard, like the tortured artist, and I'd be so hard on myself, and it was a miserable experience. And I got into believing that in order for me to produce results, I had to make it hard. It had to be hard. And she was like, well, what if you just tried to write from a place of joy? And that recommendation changed everything that came after for me. And that's what this experience taught me, was like, it will make me question everything that I believe has to be hard just got flipped on its head. And I have challenged myself to do a lot of physical things that I didn't think I could do, like when we did the Everest challenge and stuff like that. So I definitely knew before I started that I could do hard things. And I don't think I would have been able to do this if I hadn't run a marathon before. I think I would have psyched myself out. And obviously, I'm very healthy. I eat really clean. I'm in a great place, like emotionally and physically. So my mindset's really good. And all of those contributed to my ability to do this crazy thing. But I swear that I was able to accomplish this crazy idea because it was about love. And I ended up sending a note.
I eat clean, I eat healthy, I'm happier, I'm better, I'm fuller, I'm more emotionally stable, I have a better boyfriend, I have better hair, I did all these things, I have more gratitude. It's like, okay, girl, we get it. But don't now try to say, but you could do it too. You are at the top of your game, you've said, but it's also just because of love. Okay. I'm so, this is all self-help is. If you go back and listen to self-help people that you've listened to in the past, I guarantee they're not as blatant, as horrible as this, but mostly it's the person who's writing the material bragging about themselves. That's what I've discovered after going back and listening. It's always stories about themselves, about how amazing they are, how clean they eat, how early they wake up in the morning. That's all this whole industry is. It's all bullshit. She is just like the worst of it.
One of my girlfriends is going through IVF.
Okay, hold up, everybody. Be ready for the cringe. This is the cringe part, the real cringe, okay? Her girlfriend, okay, her friend, whatever, is going through IVF, okay, which is the thing where you get injected with hormones so that you can get pregnant more easily and all that stuff. Never experienced it myself, but I've seen videos about it where you have to get shots and you gain weight and you have to take hormones. And as someone who is on birth control, hormones can make your body go crazy as a woman. And yeah, so I can't imagine getting injected with it to help produce eggs and all that. this is her take on that, okay? She's going to talk about her friend. Let me go back a little bit. This is her take on IVF. Ready? Down the hatches.
I was able to accomplish this crazy idea because it was about love. And I ended up sending a note. One of my girlfriends is going through IVF, and I sent her a voice note, and I was just like, hey, I don't know if this will be helpful, but I just had this experience, and I want to say to you, could you love every part of it? Could you love even the pieces of your experience where you normally feel fear or anger or resentment? Could you find love? Like, I just recently read a book by Louise Hay, and she was talking about bills. She's saying, you know, people get so pissed that they have to pay bills and they're angry about their bills. She said, I bless every single bill. I kiss the bill. You know, this was back when you used to get, you know, the bill in the mail. She's like, I kiss them before I send the check back, because a bill is evidence that a business trusted me enough to give me something before I had actually paid for it. Like, this bill represents something that I've gotten, or the fact that my lights are on, or the fact that my house is warm. And so I bless the fact that I pay a bill. So in your own experience, in the parts that are hard, could you find love for the tough? Could you find love for the things that suck? Because in doing that, none of it sucks. The whole thing just felt like this beautiful, magical experiment. And I am not suggesting that you run out and try and run a marathon. I think that training for a race is a really powerful emotional journey to go on. And if you want...
So basically, I don't know if you caught that part. It was a little bit, she starts going off on a complete tangent, but she said she called her friend who was going through IVF and said, what if you just loved every part of it? What if you just loved all the hurt parts and all the tough parts, and you could just like have a greater experience? Isn't that the most toxic positive thing ever? Like, you're getting shot up with like hormones, and you have to just like be like, I love this. I love it. I love it. It's like, come on. And then she like, I think maybe she thought like, this is probably not a good take, and trailed off and just went back to talking about herself. But I just thought that was totally like distasteful. It's like, no, IVF can suck. It can still lead you to having a child. And if that's your goal, great, awesome. But the process can still be shitty. It doesn't have to be lovely. It doesn't. It doesn't. And if you feel guilty at home, if you feel guilty about not loving every moment of your life, don't, because that is not natural. It leads to you making an hour podcast about, oh, how amazing you are. It's embarrassing. So feel your feelings, choose sadness, and never, ever, ever
unfollow me.
I'm sorry, I'm having too much fun with these sound bites.
Get into running, the training is a big part of it. Because you're getting to race day knowing the hours that you put in to have the mental capacity and the mindset required to finish. But in this instance, I did something I thought was impossible. And I'm still not even done unpacking it. Like, I still am going to have to really think about how this happened and what this means. And I remember my boys, because they were tracking me that day, they were just like, you know, across like mile 10 and they were like, Mom, I can't believe you're doing this. And like, I love that they're seeing that. Like, I love that they see this example of something that they were like, you're going to do what? And the morning of the race, I ended up sending a text to my boyfriend. He's in Europe. And I was like, hey.
I didn't know he was in Europe. Oh my God, is he English? I didn't know that.
It was like a picture of me like at the starting line. I was like, hey, off to do my long run. He was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? This is so exciting. What's happening? And then I sent him a link to track me. And he said, oh, are you doing the half? And I was like, have you met me? Do you guys ever see Old School? The movie Old School? It's one of my favorite lines where Vince Vaughn like has planned this elaborate party. And his friend's like, oh, you get a band? He's like, you think I got $1 million in speakers and lights set up? You think I got some student alt rock band? No. Like, make sure you got a view of the stage. That was me. I was like, no, man, we're going full out. And
that's me. She has that weird voice sometimes. That's me. That's me. Like, she's like, I need a soundbite that. Like, she's got this thing that she's like laughing and saying like, that's me, haha, like self-deprecating, but not really. So she's saying like she called her boyfriend at the last second and said, I'm doing this marathon, or I'm doing the race. And he's like, oh, you're doing the half? And she's like, do you know me? Do you even know me? I am Rach. My name is Rach since 2021, okay? I am Rach, and I just do marathons only. I don't do stupid little 5Ks, you little baby bitch. Okay, I'm sorry. Wouldn't it be so funny, though, if that's what she did? That's what she just called him bitch all day? Like, yeah, bitch. That's what you think to her booth? She calls him boothing publicly, but calls him bitch secretly? Okay. I'm sorry. I think my headache from yesterday is, like, continued on today. My brain is a little bit fried. I'm sorry.
Guys, it was so special. And you don't have to try and do something like that. But if you haven't done anything in the last 5 years that makes you surprised by yourself, if you haven't done anything in the last 5 years that you do it and you think, holy shit, I can't believe I just did that, then you got to challenge yourself. This is me. Like, if you need a sign, if you need something to kick you in the pants, if you need someone to tell you that you've got this.
That's Dave's thing. If you're looking for a sign, here's your sign. Him at the gym, lifting a weight incorrectly. If you're looking for a sign, go outside for 20 minutes. That's Dave's thing. So she's repeating his catchphrase.
You have got this. You can do this thing. When you see people doing it and you're like, that would be cool, like, but I can't do that. That's not me. I'm not a runner. My people, I don't have the genetic. No, that is BS. I am telling you that you will get out there on race day. You will see every single type of body. You will see every person. You will see every age. You will be so inspired. And the only thing that matters is that you finish.
Stop yelling.
Like, your time doesn't matter. Your freaking pace doesn't matter. It matters that you finish. It matters that you do something that you didn't think that you could do. Because that is the stuff that sustains you when everything else falls away. When work is hard, when you're going through a divorce, when you're struggling with your teenager, when, you know, you're helping, your parent is having to go into assisted living, like all the hard stuff that you have to do, that life is going to throw at you whether you want it or not. You need experiences that you can fall back on and go, yeah, this is hard, but I can do hard things by choice. Lots of people can do hard things when they're forced. This is a hard thing that you choose to do. I started this year and I promised myself that
I think that's a dig at Dave, because he made a big point in his book, Built Through Courage, that he didn't choose the divorce. He didn't choose the divorce, but it led him to, you know, have the best year ever, which then led him to leaving social media in disgrace. But I think that's her little clap back to him, like, well, you know, you can do hard things that you didn't choose, but I choose to do the hard things. So therefore I'm better than Dave, even now, even in divorce, even after everything's said and done, she's still superior to him.
Stop being a weenie. I don't know if you saw that episode of Rach Talk, but it's only February and I have jumped into an ocean in England. I've gone skiing. I have run a marathon without training, and I had dental work done. Yep. Day after this, I went and had dental work done, which you're laughing because that sounds stupid, but I am petrified of the dentist. And I was like, you know what? We're not a weenie. We can do hard things. And that means someone is going to give you a shot in your gums and you're going to live. If you started pushing.
We've had like 17 lists of her listing all the things she's accomplished this year. We get it. My God.
Towards things that scare you. If you start pushing towards that discomfort zone, I think you'd be shocked at the person you become. There is no way, not in a million years, did 29-year-old version of me ever imagine that I could do the things that I could do today. She couldn't even dream this. It was too big of a dream. But just like running, dreams have a way of growing and more becomes possible when you start to move forward. So I really freaking hope that this was a push that you need to go right now, go sign up, go sign up. In fact, I want to challenge you guys to sign up and like tag me on social, like show me the crazy thing that you did, or like hashtag, I did it, Rach. Like, I don't know.
Just stand on the side of a overpass, like, ah, getting crazy. Didn't scare myself today. Woo. Like, okay. I'm gonna walk in front of traffic. Hashtag Rach Talk, Dreamcatcher. Woo. It's like, oh my God. Yikes.
Just freaking do it. Don't overthink it. You can Google how to train for a race. You can find a local running group. You can read 1,000 blogs or watch YouTube videos. The answers are there. If you have a calling on your heart, even if it's scary, just freaking do it. All right. I love you guys. I'm rooting for you. If this episode was helpful, share it with a friend, y'all. Like, you're listening every week. You got to this point. Do me a solid. Do your friend a solid. Share it. I think everything in my career is based on the idea that I find things I think will be helpful to others, and then I give them to my community or I share them with my friends. And
we know
this is a really great opportunity for you. In fact, send this to your friend and be like, girls, let's get a running club together. We're going running. We're doing the Disney run. Until I see you next time, subscribe to the show. Thanks for hanging out. I love you. And I'm rooting for you. And let's go get a running. The Rachel Hollis podcast is produced.
Well, guys, we did it. We listened to both Rach Talk and a Rachel Hollis podcast about literally the same thing. Her running a marathon without any training, and her also doing all these other amazing things that she's accomplished. And I learned nothing for myself other than that I should feel bad for myself, especially when I don't enjoy IVF treatments. That should be something that you enjoy doing. Not that I'm going through IVF treatments, but if I ever do in the future, I should love it. Great. So what do you guys think? Great podcast? Insufferable podcast? I think that was one of the most insignificant ones, in the sense of it was an hour, but we got literally like 10 minutes of actual important information, or information that was relevant to anything. Usually it's 45 minutes and there's some juicy nuggets throughout. That one was just like, not to be obvious, but like a marathon. Like, I wanted some sprints going in there because it was just blah blah. I have ginger in my tea. Go forward 20 minutes. So I ran it with, I hate walking. I would never walk in a marathon. Fast forward. Just choose joy. And that was the whole thing. Literally, that was the whole summary right there. Dave sucks. Dave's an asshole. Yeah, we know. Got it. Okay, as we wrap up, I'll bring up the fun, exciting new stuff again. And thank you to everyone that's posted and said that they bought some stuff. That's awesome. I really, really, really so appreciate it. And hopefully once it does become associated with the account, so with the YouTube account, if you buy something during a stream, it should pop up and make like how it does when you do a super chat or subscribe, and it has the thing in the corner over here. It should do that. So if you buy like a cup or something or a sticker, it'll say your name just bought a sticker. So that's coming soon, but you can still buy stuff now, but that's a later feature. So if you have anyone that wants to like get their name up there, that will be possible in the future. So again, I'll show you. So here, for example, is a sticker. This is what it looks like in real life. You can put it, like I said, on your forehead, so everyone knows. They won't talk to you. If you wear this on your forehead at any public event, no one's going to talk to you. And that's kind of preferred in most situations. And then also, if you bring this with you, they'll think you're insane, and they will definitely not speak to you. So you're really accomplishing all the goals that I have in my life. It's being ignored while in public. It's empty. I'm lying. I'm a liar, everybody. I'm just trying to play pretend. So good. Enjoy your coffee. I'm pretending I'm on the news. I'm like Good Morning America. Good morning, America. Welcome to my live show. Gotta get that coffee in. Yes, you do. Okay, now I'm starting to talk to myself way too much, and I'm still recording and live, so things are going off the rails today. Let's see what else while we're here. While we're all here and chatting, I also own this. I don't have all, right now I have her. I'll show you the stuff I have on. That would help. I have this on currently in this color. Pink. Choose Sadness. This is a like a workout shirt. Someone said, I'm so sorry, I lost the comment, but someone said, let me find it if I can see. They are going to be using this shirt while they do yoga, which is probably how I will also be using it as well. Oh, here, Rachel Hollis, is that you? Is Rachel Hollis getting in on the Choose Sadness merch drop? But thank you, Rachel. Rachel, blank last name, ordered the flowy top. Thanks, Dan, for subscribing. Wow, the ending of this is amazing. And if you don't like pink, you can also check out white. Wow. Or, what is this? Black? Dark navy? Psh. Or this blue. This kind of bluish purple is kind of like a, I don't know, it's like a, like what do you call it? A thing when you're, wild card. I don't know, I kept trying to say racehorse. This is a racehorse. No, it's not. It's a wild card. Okay, what else? Let's see what else. Masks, if you are choosing to protect yourself from viruses that may be around. Here's a hoodie. We should send this to Heidi Powell, who loves men's hoodies. This is not a men's hoodie. This is, I think, a unisex hoodie. But it's got all the different colors. Pink, white, blue, black, and navy. I like the navy the best, I think. I need to buy one of these. I don't have this one. We'll send it to Heidi. She can wear it in her chaotic stories. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And thank you for subscribing. That's the only reason that there is merch to be had, because we reached 10,000 subscribers. It's a very exciting accomplishment for me, honestly, really, for real. This is me being sincere. I really, really, really do appreciate you subscribing and coming to these live streams and listening to me talk and joke around. And it's changed my life in the last year. I started this channel a year ago. Thank you, Rocio. I'll move you over here. Woo! It really has changed my life because I've wanted to start a YouTube channel for a long time. I dealt with a lot of stuff with self-help, and I feel like it hurt me ultimately, and I didn't know what to do with all of my feelings, and being able to come on here and talk about it and having people respond in any way, positive or negative, has been crazy and so cool. And so the fact that anyone wants to buy anything that, has to do with this channel is awesome. And I feel like I'm blabbering on and on, but I really, sincerely, it means the most to me ever that you guys continue to come back and subscribe. And so thank you. Thank you. But also, keep subscribing and keep coming back. And
Get a life.
after this, go out and do something or not, or sit on the couch and watch Netflix, or watch old HBO series. Like, that's what I'm doing. I'm watching Oz right now, which is a show from the early 2000s about prison. But never, ever, ever, please.
Unfollow me.
There you go. And I'm going to add more sound effects as we go. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I will talk to you guys again soon. I'm going through the comments. Goodbye, goodbye. See you later. All right. It's been fun. It's been real, and it's been real fun. Okay, I'm leaving for real now. Goodbye.